Basically, how our camera functions. Do anyone have idea how our camera functions? How image is produced on, how image is captured on sensor? Do anyone have some ideas here? Tell me.
When we start the DSLR camera, in DSLR camera, the shutter will open,
Okay.
and the light will come on the sensor.
Okay.
Hit the sensor.
Okay.
And bring the image.
Yeah, right. So basically, it's the, you can say that it's an art. It's the painting, the painting through the lights. Like capturing an image is the painting through the lights. Lights is entering through the lens and drawing on your sensor. So basically, इसके अलावा और कुछ नहीं. There is nothing. कैमरे में अगर आप देखें, there is only three things. One is the lens. Second one is the sensor. A third one, viewfinder, through which you are able to see the things. Now it's come, there's a monitor, there's a LCD screen. Before that, there's a viewfinder. Through viewfinder you can see that. But there's a little bit difference between viewfinder and that LCD screen. Have you noticed it?
Yeah.
If you're using DSLR cameras, through the viewfinder you are able to see that the overexposed or underexposed. Is it possible to see through the viewfinders?
No.
Is it overexposed, underexposed? Everything remains same. Either it's underexposed or either is overexposed.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they have some ideas giving us.
That's not it. It's the optical. Your image is optical. जैसे आपने ग्लास से देख रहे हो, जैसे आप नॉर्मली ग्लास लगाते हो वैसे देख रहे हो. इस ऑप्टिकल इमेज है. दिस इज ऑप्टिकल इमेज. कोई डिजिटल कन्वर्जन नहीं हो रहा है उसका. दैट्स द रीज़न आपको वहाँ पर ना ही ओवर एक्सपोज दिख रहा है ना ही अंडर दिख रहा है. जितनी आपकी आंखों को दिख रही है वही चीज़ उसे दिख रहा है. सेम एज इट इज़. जैसा आप देख रहे हो, आप देखोगे व्यू फाइंडर लगाओ, ब्राइट सनी डेज, कोई ओवर एक्सपोज नहीं है. थिंग्स इज रिमेन सेम. अंडर एक्सपोज एरियाज देयर इज अ नो लाइट, फिर भी जो आपको दिख रहा है you can see through the viewfinder. But how is it possible to capture through the viewfinder in the underexposed or overexposed? Is it possible? People are doing that things using viewfinder. Yes. And exposure is correct.
Yeah. Meter.
Yeah, there's a meter. There's inside. There's a meter through which you can judge it. If meter is fall in center, it means your image is properly exposed. If meter is fall in right side, it's overexposed. If it's under, like the left side is the underexposed. So basically, थोड़ा बहुत आप लोगों को ideas है. So there's another things through the viewfinder you're seeing, and then the monitor is there, the CRT monitor or whatever the monitor is there. So now there's another cameras. Have you heard about? There's a mirrorless cameras.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a mirrorless camera. There's a mirror. So why you are able to see through the viewfinder? Because of the mirror. Have you ever opened the cameras and fixed the lens? If you have used the interchangeable lens, have you ever used that? Have you ever fixed the lenses over there?
Yes, sir.
So have you seen that there is a mirror?
Yes, yes.
Just see the pictures through it. If this is the kind of cameras, the light is passing through the sensor. This one is the mirror. How mirror is straight?
It's a little curve.
This is slightly. It's the 45-degree angular. It's not the straight. अगर आपने कभी यूज़ किया है, आप इंटरचेंजेबल माउंट में आपने लेंस यूज़ किया होगा, हैव यू सीन दैट? बिफोर दैट देयर इज अ मिरर. सो मिरर इज एंगुलर ऑन 45 degree. That's the reason you are able to see through the viewfinder. That mirror reflected on viewfinders. In viewfinder there is a prism. That's called the pentaprism. That's called the pentaprism, through which you are able to see the things. So have you seen over here? There is a pentaprism. Now here is a viewfinder. Here is a mirror. So have you heard the sound when you release the shutter?
Yes, sir.
Have you heard the sound when you release the shutter? What the sound is? The shutter and mirrors. So that's the difference. Have you ever used the mirrorless cameras?
Yes.
Mirrorless camera use किया कभी? So is there a difference between sound of shutter of mirrorless cameras and the mirror cameras which have the mirror? Have you faced that things? No. So that's one difference between mirrorless and that the camera which have the mirror. The shutter sound is, I think, a little bit. There is a difference between sound. Little bit difference between sound. In the mirrorless cameras, both are digital. Actually, both are digital. But in mirrorless, you are not able to see through the viewfinder. There is no optics at all. There is no optical things. there is a viewfinder, but that is electronic viewfinder. आपने देखा होगा, if you are using Sony cameras, there is a inside में एक लगा हुआ होता है. There is a viewfinder, that is electronic viewfinder, not the optical viewfinder. So it's not the optics. So you can't judge light properly if you are not using the opticals. Optics में क्या properly आपको दिख रहा है, वहाँ मीटर पे आपको दिख रहा है. If you are using the light meter, there is a different kind of light meters inside your cameras. I'm not talking about that को light meter handheld जो use करते हैं. I'm not talking about that one. In your cameras, there is a light meter. Have you seen that meters? Have you used that meters? Yeah, there are 4 or 5 kind of meters in every cameras, like incident, like reflective, spot metering, and one more that is center weighted. It's depend upon models. So 4 is same, like Canon is using what the name is evaluative. The same as in Nikon is the matrix. The matrix of 4 or 5. Sometimes there in few cameras in Mark III there is like multi spot metering, but in few cameras in Mark IV there is only a spot metering. So there is different kind of metering. Whenever you are using viewfinder, you can check it out. Even on your LCD there is a meter kind of things. So later we'll discuss on it, on that meter, how it works. So now we discuss on the functions. So this is your viewfinder, that is optical. Right now we'll talking about the optical viewfinders. So later on we'll discuss on the mirrorless cameras. So now this one is the light is passing through the lens to the sensor. So what's the work of sensor is? What's the work of sensor is? To convert your optical image to an electronic signals. Before that there is optics, there is opticals, your image is opticals. जब तक सेंसर पे प्रोड्यूस नहीं हुआ है. Before that is totally optics. So what's the work of sensor is? To convert your optical image to an electronic signals. Now the rest of work is done by the image processing unit. There is image processing unit, there is another things जो कि आपके इमेज को प्रोसेस करते हैं. But sensor work is to convert that optical image to an signals. So the light is passing through the lens. तो आप तो before clicking, before releasing the shutter, you are able to see the things. आप shutter release नहीं करते हो और आप क्या देख रहे हो कि आप इमेज देख रहे हो. इमेज दिखाई देते हैं ना आपको, प्रीव्यू दिखाई देता है आपको. You can judge the exposure before releasing the shutter. So what is the shutter is? What is shutter is? Yeah, it's yeah, you are just nearby. Shutter, that is shutter speed.
Yes.
Shutter is just the curtains.
Just the door sort of
Yeah.
thing that opens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have to adjust the time for that.
Yeah, shutter is just the curtains between your lens and your sensor. Shutter is just the curtains. It's just the curtains or doors. What you can say is just the curtains. That is, it's not allow the light to enter on the sensor. It's not allowing the lights. So what you can do? There's another thing that's called the shutter speed. And yeah, that amount of time that your shutter is remain open, that is your shutter speed, and it will be decided by you. You can decide it until you are not using the auto mode. Then so if you are using manual, you can decide until, if you are using auto, so camera will decide the things. So we are talking about the manuals, so we'll go with the manuals. So that amount of time your shutter is remain open, that is your shutter speed, and you can fix it like between the fraction of seconds, like 1/30th, 1/50th, 1/100, or sometimes with the 1 seconds. So that is amount of time. What we can discuss earlier, that is the lighting passing through the lens. Light is coming through the lens. Now it will fall on the sensors, but the amount of time is decided by our shutter, and that amount of time is decided by you. You can decide it. What will be the speed of that light? Because why we are able to see each other? Why we are able to see each other? मैं क्यों देख पाते हैं हम दोनों एक दूसरे को? Because light is falling and there is a reflection. So there is a certain movement of light, certain speed of light, certain speed of your subject. So what's the work of a still photography? In a still photography, what we did? Sometimes we freeze the motion, sometimes we freeze the motion, sometimes we create that blurry effect. It means light have certain motion. That light have certain motion, that light is passing through your lens to the sensor. So that have, if fan is running, there is another speed. If someone is playing football, there is another speed. If someone is static, there is another speed. If I am static, my hand is moving, so there's another speed. Because have you seen many of your images when you are taking through your cameras, your cell phone, your face is static, but your hand is blurry. Hand is not sharp. Your hand is not sharp, but your face is. So because why? Because the speed of light is not matching through your shutter speed. That's the reason. That amount of time is not matching. कि जितने time के लिए आपने shutter open रखा है, that much time is not matching. वो आपके speed से match नहीं कर रहा है. That's the reason it's create blurry images. So sometimes you need that blurry images to create that pattern of light or tail of light. Have you seen that long exposure? It's called the long exposure. Ki there's a tail of lights because you are until you just remain your shutter remain open, and you just because there's a different mode in your cameras like bulb mode or 1 second. In bulb mode, you just release the shutter. Sorry, you just press the shutters. और जब तक आप उसे प्रेस करके रखेंगे that time the exposure will be there. So what we discussed that there is a painting of lights. What we are doing? We are just painting on sensor through the lights. Now your shutter is remain open. Shutter open है आपका. Now whatever you want to draw, just draw it through the lights. Painting through the lights. आप कर रहे हो. अगर आपने speed बढ़ा दिया, if your speed increased, it can freeze the motion. अगर आपने नहीं किया, it can create the blurry effect. So basically आप shutter में हाँ one more thing, little bit. One second. Yeah. Have you seen the example? This in over here. There is a motion, but your image is fully sharp. There is a motion. कोई run कर रहा है, कोई jump कर रहा है. They are jumping, but they are sharp. Now in image number 4, have you seen this one? This is the long exposure. So what you find? क्या हो रहा है अभी? There is a blurry motion blur. There is a motion blur. So why it's happened? Because the speed of this subject is not matching whatever speed you fixed. Because whatever you set it on. आपने जो भी set किया है उसके according your shutter is not matching. Yeah. So there's another things. So shutter, if shutter speed is higher, or you are using the long exposure, the another things that will affect. What is that?
Sir,
Yeah. Yeah. I just repeated it. If you are using long exposure, okay, so it's create the motion blur or whatever the things. There's one more thing that is affected. What is that? Exposure. How it affect?
sometimes it's too white.
Yeah.
It's, too much light.
Yeah.
the light
So
enter
in long exposure, we
Image
prefer like
Fully
high
white.
aperture rates, high aperture number.
No, I'm not talking about the aperture right now. We are talking about the shutter speed. So shutter speed affect your lights, your exposure. One more thing. So क्या होगा आपका larger the numbers, आप ज़्यादा shutter speed use कर रहे हैं, what's happen? Yeah. So क्या होगा आपके light पे effect पड़ेगा, light will be affected. So we'll discuss later on कि how exposure will be affected by your shutter speed. Right now the work of shutter, how we'll use the shutter, the things is that. One more thing, little bit I'll discuss. Sorry, what happened? To freeze the motion, you are using the higher shutter speed. To freeze the motion, we are using the higher shutter speed. But is it possible when you are using flash? Is it possible to when you are using flash to freeze the motion?
It is sometimes, but not because they allowed me only 2 and 50
Yeah.
shutter speed.
So if you are using flash photography, you can't control that things because आप 250 से ज़्यादा speed नहीं कर सकते shutter speed because they won't sync. They're not able to sync that things. तो जो flash की speed होगी और shutter की speed दोनों match नहीं करेगी. So from flash photography ऐसा नहीं flash लेके आप सारा काम कर सकते हैं. तो there is certain limitation कि flash पे आप sync नहीं कर पाओगे. 250 के बाद आप जा नहीं सकते. So flash की भी एक limitation है. और shutter का एक और चीज़ आपने देखा if you are using your cameras, there's a flickering.
Yes.
Have you seen that flicker? Have you seen that flicker? Because that speed जो light की जो frequency है, that is not matching through you the speed of shutter. So आपने देखा होगा कभी कि if you are using ambience light, such kind of lights if you are using, if your shutter is 40 or 30, have you seen that there is a flicker? Have you seen that there is a flicker? So it's created by because of your shutter. So you just increase the value of shutters. Now there is a no flicker. वहाँ पे flicker नहीं होता if you increase the shutter. So one more reason आप flicker भी वो कर सकते हैं इससे, that is shutter. Through the shutter you can control the flicker. So there is another things about the shutter. There is aperture.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah,
about
tell me.
shutter. So if we use external flash,
Yeah.
can I freeze the motion?
Yeah, until 250 you can freeze the motion. If the shutter speed is 250,
My question is that
Yeah.
if we use external flash, they give me flash number also, no, sir? There is a flash number.
there is a flash. If you are using external, then you can use. There is a 500, 400. There is a certain speed. Then the flash. I am talking about the on-camera mount. If you fix the flash on your hot shoe, I am talking about that flash. But there is a shutter. There is a flash which have the 500, 600. There is a certain numbers. In that external flash, there is certain numbers. You can increase that values. So you can sync it. Yeah. So then you use trigger over there.
Yeah.
Then you can use trigger. Have you ever seen that? There's a trigger, so you can on hot shoe, there's no flash, there's a trigger, and all lights will be controlled by that trigger. Because the shutter is synced by that trigger. If you're using 2 or 3 or 4 flashes over there, I'm just talking about the flash. Flash that is shifted on your mount, that is mounted. I'm talking about that one. That you can't increase 250, more than 250. Maximum is the 200. 200 के बाद वो ब्लिम्प होने लगता है. Sometimes capture नहीं होगा. Sometimes spot बन जाता है. Sometimes capture नहीं होता है. आप सिंक नहीं कर पाते. टोटली ब्लैक कि जब तक उस वो लाइट आई आपका शटर उससे पहले जो है बंद हो गया. सो मैक्सिमम मिनिमम दे यूज लाइक 200 और 180 और 200 दे आर यूजिंग. So external flash you can use it or not. So one more second. Yeah, this one I am talking about that. This is tail of lights. This is the long exposure. It's called the long exposure, but it's very tricky to capture these things. It's not at once you go over there and you can capture this one. It's not possible. You have to spend lots of time. And when you are using such kind of things, if you are using, if you are capturing such kind of things, you have to use tripod at first because you are using long shutter. Because if the sake is over there, तो ये lines क्या होंगी? ये भी sake ही सा image आपका produce करेगा. तो for that reason you have to use, or sometimes they use remote at all. Because if you touch the cameras, so there's a blurry kind of effect is there. So that's the reason they are using remote. कोई भी tail of stars they are capturing the astronauts वाले जो होते हैं. If they are using, they use remote. They didn't use. If you once you touch the cameras, because the shutter is like on bulb mode. If you touch the camera, there is little bit shake over there. If you release the shutter button, there's a shake. So that's the reason they are using remote. Through remote, they can control the exposure. Through remote, they can capture the images. So this one is your shutter. So is there any question about regarding shutter? Any confusion?
Sir, in film, shutter is fixed according to frames per second.
See, there's a types of shutter. So actually right now we are talking about the digital single lens reflex DSLR. We are talking about the DSLR. There's a types of shutter that have used. Right now we are using that whatever in our cameras, the digital cameras, that is called flank focal shutter. This one the flank. We are using the flank focal shutter right now because is the ये क्या है आपके फ्लैंक फोकल शटर आपके ठीक इसके आगे क्या कहते हैं सेंसर के ठीक आगे है आपका. बट दे आर यूजिंग इन सिनेमा कैमराज दे आर यूजिंग रोटेटिंग डिस्क शटर. ठीक है. सो देयर इज डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ शटर. देयर इज अ लीप शटर. देयर इज अ लीप शटर. Like the sometimes the leaf shutter inside the camera and inside the lens too. So there's a bigger photographers use that one. So right now we are only talking about the flank focal shutter that we have used. जो भी अभी तक आप लोगों ने use किया होगा, there is a flank focal shutter is there. कि shutter release करते हो, then shutter remove होता है, then the light is passing through there. But in cinema camera it's different. It's not like that. अगर ऐसा होता है, is it possible to capture the moving images? Have you ever used that movie mode? Have you shoot some footage on video mode? Is it possible to see through the viewfinder whenever you are using videos? No. Why?
Because that time shutter will be open.
सो इट विल ब्लॉक दैट, वो जो आपका मिरर है, मिरर क्या कर रहा है आपका, ब्लॉक कर रहा है. सो एवरी टाइम जब आप एक इमेज क्लिक करते हो, शटर रिलीज हुआ, शटर बंद हुआ, यही है ना. शटर रिलीज हुआ, शटर क्लोज हुआ. इट मीन्स इफ़ यू आर यूजिंग योर, इफ यू आर मेकिंग सम मूवीज लाइक, सो देयर इज अ 24 फ्रेम, मान लेते देयर इज अ 24 फ्रेम. सो इट मीन्स आफ्टर एवरी फ्रेम, आफ्टर वन इमेज देयर मस्ट बी द ब्लैक. If you that this shutter is working, is it possible?
No.
Have you ever seen that things? No. So because we have flank focal shutter in our camera, in our DSLR, but in movie mode, how it's not work? वो तो release होना चाहिए ना. Have you heard the sound after every seconds or after every frame? Have you heard the sound? No. So how it work? So there is an electronic shutter. That glass is remain open, the shutter is remain open, that is not rotating, and that electronic shutter is working inside. So that's a type of third shutter. Little bit I brief you, but then again I will explain it to you how electronic shutter work, how flank focal shutter work, how rotating disc shutter work. So there are mainly three kind of shutter. Leaf shutter is not in use right now. So that's the things. There's a rotating disc. There is what we say, this one, the flank focal shutter, and that shutter. The three shutters exist. There's the electronic shutters. Most of the video camera have the electronic shutter. So this one is one second. Okay. So now the second one is aperture. Second one is aperture. Have you ever heard about the aperture, or have you used the aperture and how it works? You know?
It's the size of opening
Yeah.
which lights.
Aperture is
Amount of light.
to which light enters.
Light enter.
The amount of light.
The first thing that we cleared, that aperture is not inside the cameras. Okay. Sensor is inside the camera, and second one is shutter is inside the cameras. So that this one is, the aperture is your inside the lens. It's not the, but you can control it by camera. There's on camera bodies, there is certain, the number, certain functions you can control. There's a many functions, so you can control your exposure, you can control the things. One second. Okay. So how aperture affects, on how aperture work? Again it's control the light. Again, basically we are only discuss right now about the light. On the light perspective से हम अभी बात कर रहे हैं. There's another things that will be affected by there's another things, but we will discuss on later. So aperture also control light. Shutter also control light. So it's also affect light. This one is also. That is controlled by your cameras. This is inside the lens. This is inside the lens. So it's affect your exposure by changing the diameter of that lens opening. ये diameter कितनी opening होगी नहीं होगी, it is decided by you. You can fix it. So there is certain numbers like 1.4, 2.8, 2, 2.8, 4, 5.6. There is certain numbers of that aperture. It's affect your exposure. So if you have you used that lenses? Which kind of lenses have you used? Is anyone like the 1855 or something else? 50 mm. Have you used that one? So yeah, जब भी यूज़ किया आप लोगों ने, have you heard there is a certain numbers? Which number is 1.4? Sometimes 1.42, 3.5 to 5.6. Sometimes there is only one number, that is 1.4. Sometimes there is two numbers, like 1.4, 3.5. Sometimes, basically it's written on the zoom lenses. If you are using the zoom lenses or like ये जो मीडियम रेंज के जो कैमरेज हैं, उनमें आप देखोगे उनके जो किट लेंसेज होते हैं, बेसिकली द किट लेंसेज, देयर इज टू नंबर्स हैव स्टॉप्स लाइक द 1855. देयर इज अ वेरिएशन. हम देखोगे देयर इज दो नंबर होते हैं अपर्चर के, वन इज 3.5, अनदर इज 5.6, और समटाइम्स 2.4 to 4. So there is a variation. It is not fixed. And if you are using 18 mm, like if you are on 18, no, I'm talking about the 1855. If you are on 18, there is a 3.5, but suddenly if you are on 55, it's become 5.6. They changed it. It have been changed. It has changed. Manually आप नहीं कर रहे हो, but ऑटोमेटिकली इट्स हैपन, ये अपने आप हो जाता है, आप कोई चेंज नहीं कर रहे हो। बेसिकली आप जब 18 पे होते हो दैट टाइम यू कैन चेंज इट टू 3.5 टू 5.6, बट आप जब 18 टू 55 जाते हो इन सम लेंसेज ऑटोमेटिकली इज चेंज, aperture changed, f number changes, but in some lenses it's not changed, it will remain same. Either you are using 18, either you are on 55, either you are on 70, either you are on 200. आप कुछ भी यूज़ कर रहे हो, aperture is constant until you didn't change it manually. अगर आप manually change नहीं कर रहे हो तो वो change नहीं हो रहा है, वो वहीं रह रहा है. That's called the lens ramping. Lens ramping is the problem with photographic lenses. That's called the lens ramping. It's the lens ramping. I'll give you the PPT. Don't write down. Don't need to write down. I'll give you the PPT and this paper too. So the printout. So don't need to write down. It's the lens ramping called the. Because of that things, 18 become 55. So there is an opening. So that opening is when you are on 55. See, there is certain numbers like. If you are using f1.4, 2, 2.8, 5.6, 4, this is the f numbers. Aperture is denoted in f numbers. अब f number में aperture को denote करते हो. But this number is there is some mathematical calculation. There is some mathematical calculation. वो calculation के through ये numbers से आपकी opening बनती है. How much that diameter is open. This is only numbers. See, this is only numbers. f1.4 is numbers. It's not given you. It's not give you that exact opening detail. F no, it's the f stop. But whatever the opening is, what the size of that opening is, you are not taken that. There's only numbers.
Yes.
So through these numbers, you can calculate exact opening. Through this number, you can calculate exact opening. What the exact opening is, and how can you calculate? It's very simple. Just divide your focal length by this one. Just divide your focal length. If you are using, like, see, if you are using 30 mm, okay, but there is no 3 f number, there is no 3, but for dividing it very easy. So you are using 30 mm. 30 mm, just divide by the f number is 3. How much area is open? 10 mm. Now you are on 60. Just divide by 3. Your aperture remains same. Your aperture is remain same. How much area will open? 20. On 90. 30 mm. So have you seen that the telephoto lenses have the bigger housing? Telephoto lenses have the bigger housing, the bigger lens is telephoto, because of that opening. Because of that opening. So that's the reason lens ramping is happen in standard lenses or photographic lenses. When you are on 55, just divide 55 by 3.5. Is the 15 point something mm will be opening. But the housing have written capacity to open as much areas. So this area is only 9.5 mm. So that's the reason when you are on 55, at that time it's become automatically 5.6. Because that much area is not allowing by the lens. कि इतना एरिया है, मुझे इतना ओपन होना है when you are on 55. So उतना एरिया ओपन नहीं हो रहा है. So that's the reason it's become 5.6. Are you getting it? कि जो आपका f number है, जो आपका focal length है, focal length, the lens, whatever the focal length you are using, उसको divide कर लो f numbers, aperture numbers, f numbers. Just divided, you got that diameter. कि diameter कितना open हुआ है मेरा. You can calculate it. तो ramping इसीलिए हो रहा है because उस लेंस की स्टैंडर्ड लेंस है, फोटोग्राफिक लेंसेज है. सो दैट्स द रीज़न हाउसिंग उतनी बड़ी नहीं है. सो इट्स हैपन. Possible in block lenses? Is it possible in block lenses?
What aperture?
Yeah, no, that ramping. No, there is a fixed focal length. Yeah, there is fixed focal length. So there is one. There is housing. There is fixed focal length. So the things is that you can calculate it. You can calculate that things. How much area is open. So that's the reason this ramping is happen. There is one more thing that has happened. That's called the lens breathing. Lens breathing. Have you ever shoot any videos with DSLR? When you focused, have you faced that your subject is like a little bit zoom in? Have you feel that when you focused on it? When you focus on background, it's like zoom out, and a foreground is like zoom in. Have you feel that things? But whenever you are watching movies, have you faced that things? No.
So in photography also this included when we focus on the subject.
Yeah.
Little bit something happens.
Happen like this, like the zoom in.
Yeah,
It's like the zoom in.
Isn't it distortion?
Yeah, no, it's not the distortion. Distortion is another things. Distortion is the ये lens में होता ही होता है. It's the fixed with lenses. कोई भी lenses ले लो, you can minimize the distortion, but distortion नहीं हो सकता. So that's not the distortion. It's the breathing, lens breathing. That is your lens breathing. वो जो आपको दिख रहा है कि little bit zoom in हो रहा है, then like the zoom out हो रहा है when you are focused on it. That's your breathing, lens breathing. There's a problem with photographic lenses. There's a problem with. So there's one more difference between.
But for every cameras, like we use 5D and 80D and 1300D.
Yeah.
80D they can't. This type of can't happen, but in
No, it's not the problem of cameras. It's the problem of lenses. It's the problem of lenses. It's not the camera. Any camera if you use, if there's a photographic lens, it will happen. Once you're using cinema lenses on your DSLR, it will not happen. So this is the problems. This breathing is the problem with cinema, these lenses. Okay. So this is aperture. There's a little bit, you can confuse it. There's a numbers and there's an opening. In aperture, there's a numbers and there's opening. There is a one thing that can explain it. Larger the number, smaller the opening. Is it clear? जितना ज़्यादा number होगा, opening उतनी कम होगी. So we've seen that it means opening कम होगी. It means less light will come. Simple सी बात है. You just open your curtains little bit, less light will come. Open your curtains more light will fall. ज़्यादा light आएगी. Very simple. तो larger the number, जितना number बढ़ा रहे हैं, your opening is become smaller. It's very simple. और अगर little bit confusion हो रहा, आपको confuse हो रहा हो, तो क्या करेंगे आप? In break or sometimes you just make the shape of like round shape, ऐसे ऐसे shape बनाते जाइए and give it the numbers. जितने shape बड़े होते जाएंगे, just numbers उसके बड़े होते जाएंगे. There's a smaller one, then there's a bigger one. और आप उस पर numbers देते जाइए. Not the F numbers like the proper F number 1.42, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Write the number F1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and then make the shape. आप एक स्टेप बनाते जाइए सब पे. सो यू विल क्लियर इट कि मैं नंबर बढ़ा रहा हूँ, हमारी ओपनिंग कम हो रही है. सो ओपनिंग जैसे ही कम हो रही है, आपको लाइट कम एंटर कर रही है, लाइट आपकी कम एंटर कर रही है. चलिए. Okay, there is a third one with the sensor, that is the sensor. So we use ISO. Yes. So using the ISO. Before that is the ASA and the film speed. They call the film speed. Film speed. So what do you mean by ISO and how you used? Have you used that ISO? Yeah. Sensor sensitivity towards the light. Sensor sensitivity towards the light. So there is a certain numbers like ISO 100, ISO 200, 300, 400, 800. So how it works? Can you use ISO 2000? There is something 16,000. There is ISO 100 to 20 like Sony given you the 20 like something 20,000 or something else. जो before that जो पहला कैमरा इंट्रोड्यूस किया था कैनन ने, वहाँ सिर्फ 1200 तक ही था, something 1200, 50 to 1200 ISO. यही हुआ करता था. Now there's a sensitivity इतनी बढ़ गई है कि like 200 to 20,000 पे you are shooting a candles, put one candle over there and you can shoot it with the Sony A7R3 or जो भी cameras is the most sensitive towards the light. So you can use, but every camera have certain limitation of that ISO. There's a numbers, there's a ISO sensitivity between 100 to 12,600. If your camera is 12,600, but you can't use that 12,600. If you use it, more grain will come, noisy image will. So it's not the sharp. ये sharp image आपका produce नहीं करेगा. So the ISO shutter, it's also control the lights, the same things. So three things that affect your light, affect your exposure, that is shutter, aperture, ISO. Three things. You can control light, So three things. But beside that, abhi digital aa gaya, but before, when the film was there, the film speed is fixed. That rule is fixed. Have the 200 ASA, 100 ASA, they are fixed. So you can control your exposure only by through things, two things. That is aperture and shutter speed. Aperture and shutter speed. Through that you can control it. Now you have ISO. So in digital, अभी आपके लिए बहुत आसान हो चुका है कि चीज़ों को आप करें, बट इट्स अ मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स बिकॉज देयर इज अ मोर फंक्शंस इन्वॉल्व राइट नाउ.
Sir, ISO speed means film speed means
ISO, film speed means ISO. Before that is the ASA, then now is the ISO. So
Sir, ISO like उसका कोई बाहर की लाइट से कोई फंक्शन होता है? इट्स विद इन द कैमरा.
विदिन द कैमरा, इज विदिन द कैमरा. ये सेंसर की सेंसिटिविटी को बढ़ाता है. सो इट्स द सेंसर है उसको ये सेंसिटिव कर रहा है और ज़्यादा कि विद इन 100 पे मैं इतना सेंसिटिव हूँ. नाउ द 200 पे मोर, द 300 पे मोर.
100 पे तो कैमरा इतनी लाइट ले रहा है, 200 कर देंगे.
200 करेंगे तो जो लाइट आ रही है उसी को वो बढ़ा रहा है कि सेंसर को. हाँ यार, लाइक दैट वो अपना जो है वो बढ़ा रहा है. सो नाउ देयर इज अ ओके. सो अब थोड़े से फंक्शंस पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे कि आपने एक्सपोजर समझ लिया. दिस इज द शटर, ISO एंड अपर्चर. थ्री थिंग्स इज देयर, बट देयर इज अ मोर फंक्शंस ओवर देयर. You use the mode, different kind of mode is over there, different kind of picture style over there. So there's a 4 or 5 mode like the AV mode, TV mode, manual. Now is the A dip is not in cameras right now, it's not exist. Is the auto depth of field kind of thing. A dip is the, you can find it in D40 or something older cameras. You find that this one ADP is the auto depth of field controls things, but now it's not exist right now. There's only 4 or 5 mode, that the manual, AV, TV or program mode. Program mode. Sometimes people say is the party mode. Why it's named the party mode? Do you know that why it's named the party mode? Because आप जैसे suddenly कहीं हो, somewhere else you are doing, और अभी आपको क्लिक करना है, जस्ट आपको क्लिक करना है, तो आप क्या करेंगे? यू हैव टू. अगर मैनुअली आप परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं तो चीज़ें निकल गई आपके सामने से. सो इन पार्टी मोड, इन प्रोग्राम मोड, आपका कैमरा जस्ट लाइक ऑटो, इट वर्क लाइक ऑटो. बट अगर आपको लग रहा है कि यार लिटिल बिट ISO आई कैन चेंज, मैं शटर थोड़ा सा चेंज करना चाहता हूँ, मैं अपर्चर एक स्टॉप बढ़ाना चाहता हूँ, तो यू कैन कंट्रोल इट. इट्स लाइक ऑटो, फंक्शन लाइक ऑटो, बट यू कैन कंट्रोल इट मैनुअली. सो दैट्स द नेम इज़ प्रोग्राम मोड, पार्टी मोड हम जो कहते हैं उसे यूज़ कर सकते हो आप. सो बट इट्स कांट हैपन इन ऑटो मोड. ऑटो में आपको चेंज नहीं कर सकते. कैमरा विल डू द थिंग्स, कैमरा विल जस्ट योर एक्सपोजर, यू कांट. बट इन प्रोग्राम मोड, P मोड जो होता है उसमें यू कैन चेंज द थिंग्स. सो देन देयर इज अ मैनुअल यू कैन कंट्रोल एवरीथिंग, योर एक्सपोजर. द थ्री थिंग्स इज देयर, यू कैन कंट्रोल लाइक द योर शटर, ISO, अपर्चर, यू कैन कंट्रोल इट इन manual mode. So then there is AV mode. AV mode called the aperture priority mode. It's called the aperture priority mode. So what you can do in aperture priority mode, you can only fix the aperture and shutter will work automatically for your exposure. Okay, one second. So you just fix your aperture and your shutter will work automatically. Whatever the light will. So how shutter will work automatically? How shutter, how camera can judge, there is a now, because you are using aperture priority mode, so how camera can judge this one is the perfect exposure for you? How camera can judge? So there is a light meter inside. Have you ever seen, whenever you are using aperture priority mode, have you seen that that function, that light meters always will be in center. You just change the light, they change the shutter. You increase the light, then increase the speed of shutter. So that's happen in your aperture priority mode. Basically ये हम कब यूज़ करते हैं aperture priority mode? आपने कभी टाइम लैप्स शूट किया हुआ है, समथिंग लाइक दैट, कुछ ऐसा कुछ यूज़ करते हैं जहाँ पर कि एक्सपोजर चेंज होते रहता है, तो उस टाइम आप इस चीज़ को यूज़ कर सकते हैं कि अपर्चर तो मेरा फिक्स है, बिकॉज आई नीड सच काइंड ऑफ डेप्थ ऑफ फील्ड. शटर से ज़्यादा फ़र्क हमें नहीं पड़ रहा है, शटर से हमें बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क नहीं पड़ा. जहाँ पे आपको ये लग रहा है कि प्रायोरिटी अपर्चर, दैट्स द नेम, दैट्स वाई द नेम द अपर्चर प्रायोरिटी मोड. व्हेन एवर यू आर गिविंग अ प्रायोरिटी टू अपर्चर, सो आप अपर्चर मोड में जाएंगे कि अपर्चर मुझे 4 चाहिए और 2.8 चाहिए, यू यूज़ दैट अपर्चर. व्हेन वी डिडंट यूज़ अपर्चर, वी डिडंट गिवन प्रायोरिटी टू अपर्चर मोड, देयर इज अ TV मोड.
So in aperture we set the aperture value.
Yeah, in aperture you just set the aperture value, camera will set the shutter automatically. You just set aperture and ISO, camera will set the shutter speed. Whenever whatever things is going on, that light meter will always fall in center. in any kind of exposure. If you increase the light, you decrease the light until the capacity of that sensor it can be. So like sometimes it's the 1 second because आपने पूरा dark कर दिया है, it need more light, तो वहाँ तक पहुँच सकता है वो. So this is the things. So then there is a TV mode. There is the shutter priority mode. So now if you need shutter because you want to freeze the motion, you want to freeze something like that, कि आपको motion freeze करना है, because if you are using aperture priority mode, that time it may be कि there is a less light is coming, so it may create motion blur. It may create motion blur क्योंकि कोई जंप कर रहा है, कोई प्ले कर रहा है, उस टाइम क्या होगा, लाइट कम है. At that point of time क्या होगा, आपका इमेज ब्लर, बिकॉज शटर को तो क्या चाहिए, प्रायोरिटी मोड को चाहिए भाई अपर्चर मेरा, अपर्चर विल बी 2.8, इट विल बी रिमेन 2.8. सो नाउ लाइट कम है, शटर ने क्या किया, शटर ने स्पीड अपना कम कर दिया. सो लेस लाइट विल कम हो रहा था, लाइट कम हो रही थी, अभी क्या होगा, आपका मोशन ब्लर क्रिएट हो जाएगा. सो नाउ यू हैव टू फिक्स योर प्रायोरिटी, दैट्स व्हाई द नेम इज AV अपर्चर प्रायोरिटी, TV शटर प्रायोरिटी मोड. सो नाउ अगर आपको लग रहा है समथिंग इज इन मोशन and you have to fix it, you have to freeze the motion, what you can use shutter priority mode, TV mode. आप TV mode पे जाएंगे, you set the TV mode and आप use कर सकते हैं. So these are kind of things. अगर आप बहुत जल्दी में program mode, you can change your exposure, program में आप exposure change कर सकते हैं. So this kind of things is not coming exist right now. This is the party mode, this is the night mode. So this is the kind of things, ये जो सारी चीज़ें बनी हुई हैं इस पर देखा होगा आप लोगों ने. बट इसको हम क्या करेंगे, मैनुअली परफॉर्म करके देखेंगे, तभी आपको पता चलेगा. नाइट मोड ये लाइट की इंटेंसिटी बढ़ा देता है थोड़ा सा, क्या ना, इसमें कुछ इफ़ेक्ट भी हैं, स्पेशल इफ़ेक्ट भी कुछ क्रिएट्स होता है. कोई सेपिया मोड भी एक है समवेयर, देयर इज सेपिया मोड भी एक है कोई इसमें. एंड देन द प्रोग्राम पार्ट इज डिफरेंट मोड इज़ देयर. नो इट्स नॉट एग्जिस्ट. अभी ये सारे प्रोग्राम्स जो हैं आपको आ जाते हैं किसमें, जब आप पिक्चर स्टाइल और पिक्चर ये सेट करते हैं उसमें आ जाते हैं. वी फील दैट मोनोक्रोम आते हैं और भी सेपियाज, जो भी चीज़ें आती रहती है, सारी चीज़ें इसमें फंक्शंस होते रहते हैं, तो उसको आप सेट कर सकते हैं. देयर इज़ अ लॉट्स ऑफ फंक्शंस इन एवरी कैमरा, देयर इज डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ फंक्शंस, बट 3 or 4 थिंग्स विल बी रिमेन सेम. आपका जो पिक्चर स्टाइल होगा, पिक्चर साइज़ होगा, वो कैमरे के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. सो आपने कभी पिक्चर साइज सेट किया है, क्या साइज सेट किया आप लोगों ने, व्हेनेवर यू सेट द पिक्चर्स?
Pixel value, how much MB I have.
How much?
MB in MB.
Fine, large, ऐसा.
Fine, large, JPEG,
JPEG,
raw. ठीक है, there is the size. Two types, raw, JPEG. Then there is a small. ठीक है, small JPEG, ऐसे JPEG, ऐसे numbers आते हैं, and you just select it. When you select it, that time have you seen that there is something written over there? There's something, this number like 1920 by 2980. Do you think there is, what is this?
Pixel resolution.
No, it's not the resolution. It's not the resolution. ये कोई आपको साइज नहीं बता रहा है. No, it's not the aspect ratio 2. Aspect ratio, either you click on the raw, either you click on JPG, or JPG is small. The aspect ratio will remain same, but that value is different. That value is different. Have you purchased your cameras? Have you go to the specification menu? You just read that things. They write on there, camera is 20 megapixel or 30 megapixels. They write it on. Lens पे नहीं रहता ना. On cameras, 30 megapixels. Then there is a effective megapixel is 28.9 megapixels. There's a two kind of, they written in a specification. There's one. Camera megapixel is 30 megapixel, effective megapixel is 28.7 megapixels. There's a difference, a little bit difference. So that size, when you select the JPEG, when you select the RAW, that time you see that there is a different kind of size, like 1920 by something 1080. It's not the size, actually it's the pixel values. This is the pixel values. Just multiply the things. You got how much megapixel is work on your that image, how megapixel will be effective on your that images, that particular images you are, जो भी आपने select किया है, कितना megapixel उस पे काम कर रहा है. So that's the reason जब small पे आते हो, that's the reason picture size आपका छोटा होते जाता है. It means size in the कि that image is 19 MB, now it's a 10 MB, now it's a 5 MB. When you are shooting the raw, that time it's become the 35 MB. It's depend upon the cameras and size of your sensor So depend upon that. ये कोई fix नहीं है कि raw have the certain kind of things. So different camera have the different raw systems. जितने ज़्यादा megapixels हैं उसका उतना बड़ा size आपका बन रहा है. So in raw effective megapixel काम नहीं करता. जो actual megapixel है जितना आपके कैमरे का दे दिया, जैसे 13.5 megapixel is your cameras. So in raw जो size होगा, आप अगर आप उसको multiply करेंगे, that will be the 30.5. वो आपका बिल्कुल एक्यूरेट होगा, बिकॉज उसमें कोई भी वो नहीं है. बट जैसे ही आप JPEG मोड यूज़ करते हैं, देयर इज़ अ सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ कंप्रेशन. देयर इज कंप्रेशन, बट इन रॉ देयर इज नो कंप्रेशन.
In raw also, sir, a small raw.
Yeah, there's a raw, a small raw and a small raw, but that is works same. It's because it's only decrease the size. It's only decrease the size. If you need like the 30 MB in a small raw, there's only 29 or 28 or 26 MB. But it's a work like same. There's a little bit difference between processing.
But it depends on its work on 30 megapixels.
30 megapixels, work on 30 megapixels. So there's the effective megapixels and there's the accurate megapixels. जो आपका effective है, जो काम कर रहा है on the same image, अलग अलग megapixel काम किया. On a small आपका 5 megapixel के अराउंड काम किया. इसलिए आप देखते होंगे there are lots of cameras, वहाँ लिखा हुआ रहता है 10M. जैसे आपका कैलकुलेशन है ना, कैनन के लॉट्स ऑफ कैमराज उस पर लिखा होता है कि जो भी डायमेंस जो भी लिखा हुआ 2248/91920 एंड 20M. इट मीन्स दिस इमेज इज फॉर द 20 मेगापिक्सल्स. किसी भी लिखा हुआ 18M, सो इट्स नॉट द 80 मेगाबाइट, इट्स नॉट द 18 MB. आप कंफ्यूज इसमें करोगे, इस 18 MB साइज बता रहे हैं. इट्स नॉट द 18 MB साइज, इज द 18 मेगापिक्सल विल वर्क ऑन दिस वन. है ना, ये 18 मेगापिक्सल है, उसमें जो 18M लिखा हुआ रहता है, इट्स नॉट द मेगा. वो आपको प्रॉपर साइज़ नहीं बता रहा है, बिकॉज साइज़ विल बी डिफरेंट. अभी लाइट थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा आई, कम हुई, इट विल बी डिफरेंट हो सकता है. एक्सपोजर के अकॉर्डिंग होता है ना, साइज चेंज होते हैं. इन द सेम कैमराज अभी आप क्लिक कर रहे हो, साइज इज डिफरेंट. कहीं और क्लिक कर रहे हो, जूम इन कर रहे हो, साइज विल बी डिफरेंट. सो बट जब आपने सेट किया उस टाइम वो तो फिक्स होता है ना, 18M वो फिक्स होता है. तो आपकी क्या हर एक इमेज 18 मेगापिक्सल का, सॉरी मेगाबाइट का ही होता है, 18 MB का ही होता है? नहीं होता ना, साइज इज़ डिफरेंट. बट वहाँ वो ये बता रहा है कि इन दिस इमेज 18 मेगापिक्सल विल वर्किंग. ऑन रॉ योर 30 मेगापिक्सल इज़ वर्किंग. ऑन JPEG 28 मेगापिक्सल इज़ वर्किंग. सो इन रॉ आपने कहीं प्रोसेस किया है रॉ?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever processed the raw? Are you able to see in simple picture viewers and at all? दिखा है किसी में?
Difference.
हाँ, डिफरेंस बताओ. कलर देखा है आप लोगों ने कभी रॉ का?
Yes, sir.
How it looks?
It's not too saturated. It's little.
It's like flat. 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 No? It's like flat. Why it's happened?
Yes, sir.
Why it's happened? Is the raw?
Because, in raw they give me they can't do with camera. They give me opportunity to do what I need.
What I need. Okay. So it means they are giving you the data that sensor have collected. Actually, that the sensor have collected. So when light is hitting your sensor, at that time there is no processing at all. कोई process नहीं हो रहा है. सिर्फ क्या हो रहा है? Optical images converted to an electronic signals. Optical image convert हो रहा है. Now there is a certain processing unit. So that processing unit, whenever you are going to purchase the camera, that time you see in a specification menu there is a processor name. Every camera have the certain processor like Digic 4, Digic 6, Digic 6 Plus, Digic 7 आ रहा है ना, that is kind of processor. वो अब उसे process करता है. In processing, what you need, अब क्या करता है? You select your white balance, you select your picture style, picture size. So these are the compression. These are the compression. आप अपने अकॉर्डिंग देखना चाह रहे हैं. तो अब वो क्या कर रहा है कि जो whatever the data is coming through the sensor, now they are manipulating that data. वहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है? Compression start हो रहा है. They are starting compression over there. वो कलर में हो रहा है, वो साइज में हो रहा है. तो every data is there is a compression. Every data have the compression. So आपके अकॉर्डिंग वो साइज बना के दे रहा है. बट रॉ में क्या है? रॉ इज़ टोटली अनकम्प्रेस्ड डेटा. Totally uncompressed. Whatever data is recorded by your sensor, that is given to your card. So whenever you are capturing raw, you are not able to see that in simple image viewers. They need certain kind of extension. And to see that data, to see that images, you need some compression, because without compression you are not able to see that. Without compression, because every picture viewers, कुछ किसी में देखते हो आप Photoshop में खोलते हो, किसी में खोलते हो, there are certain file name. There are certain file name. कुछ ना कोई ना कोई फाइल में खुलेगा ना, and you have to save in some file name, like JPG करोगे, कुछ भी करोगे. So in that turn, when you are using when you are shooting on RAW, so the bigger file size is called the TIFF. The extension is called TIFF. That TIFF. आपने जब भी RAW का देखा होगा, every camera have the different name, but the extension is NEF is the Nikon, CR2 is the Canon. Every camera have the different name is over there. So there is a TIFF. TIFF is called the tagged image file format. So when we will open this one in Photoshop, that time the image will be in the TIFF. Now you can compress it, because without compression you are not able to see that images. जब तक कंप्रेशन नहीं होगा एग्जैक्टली इमेज आप नहीं देख सकते. किसी न किसी एक्सटेंशन में, देयर मस्ट बी सम एक्सटेंशन ना, उसी में देख पाओगे ना उसे आप. सेंसर का डेटा है तो उस एक्सटेंशन के पास हो सकता है कुछ ना कुछ डेटा आपका कंप्रेस होगा. देयर मस्ट बी सर्टेन कंप्रेशन. तो ऐसा नहीं कि रॉ को एज इट इज़ आप रॉ ही देख रहे हो. हाँ, बट इमेज विल बी फ्लैट. सो नाउ व्हाट यू कैन डू, जो भी आप पहले कर रहे थे, वट एवर यू आर डूइंग द फर्स्ट टाइम, आप क्या कर रहे थे, यू आर जस्ट सेटिंग योर पिक्चर्स, you are setting your size, your white balance, everything you are setting over there. But in RAW you didn't need to set it all. अब in post you can change the white balance, you can change your size, picture style, जो भी आपका है you can change it. So जो भी है, so that's the reason आपकी सारी चीज़ें आप वहाँ पर कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. So मैं एक एग्जांपल से बता देता हूँ. जैसे कि आप कभी आपने खिचड़ी बनाई, आप ये मेड खिचड़ी, खिचड़ी, डू यू नो द खिचड़ी, हैव यू एवर मेड? क्या क्या लगाते हैं आप? यू पुट द राइस, देन पर्ल्स, पोटैटो एंड वट एवर द थिंग्स, एवरीथिंग इज़ देयर. आपने बना दिया उससे, यू मेड द खिचड़ी. नाउ मैं अब कह रहा हूँ कि ओके चलो इससे पोटैटो निकालो. निकाल तो सकते हो, कैसे भी निकाल लोगे, बट विद द पोटैटो देयर मस्ट बी सम वाटर, मस्ट बी सम सॉल्ट, कुछ ना कुछ बाहर आएगा. ठीक है. और अभी मैं कह रहा हूँ कि बनाने से पहले ही there is a potato, there is oil, there is salt, there is rice, everything is there. I can say you just remove the potato, just increase the value of salt, just remove the little bit pearls. मैं बता सकता हूँ आपको. So this one is raw. So this one is raw, and this khichdi that you have already made, that is your JPG image. You can say that in JPG image I can control, I can edit. आप एडिट कर सकते हो. ऐसा नहीं कि JPG में एडिट नहीं होता. यू कैन एडिट दैट वन, बट द थिंग्स इज़ लाइक दिस वन, कि आप क्या कर रहे हो, यहाँ पहले ही आपके पास सारी वैल्यू अलग अलग है. सो यू कैन सेपरेट इट इंडिविजुअली. अब इसमें क्या हो रहा है, मैं एक को उठा रहा हूँ तो दूसरा इससे अफेक्ट हो रहा है, बिकॉज यू हैव ऑलरेडी प्रोसेस्ड, यू हैव ऑलरेडी प्रोसेस्ड इट. आपने पहले ही इसे प्रोसेस कर दिया है. सो इट्स डिफ़िकल्ट टू मैनेज दैट थिंग्स. कर तो सकते हो बात, but the one value will be affected by another one. But in RAW you have that option that you can increase or decrease the value individually. So that's the difference between RAW and the other format. Any other format, the JPEG, the small, then everyone is same. RAW is your uncompressed data, and whatever the after the RAW there is the compression.
वीडियो में जैसे फोटोज में रॉ है, वीडियोज में लॉग हो गया.
See, log, right now the DSLR introduced the log in some Sony cameras, and some Canon have the log C, log S, log they are using. But if we are talking about the generally, if हम DSLR की बात करें, we are right now we are talking about the photographic things. So उसमें there is a no raw, actually there is no raw. उसमें raw नहीं है. आपका सेंसर वैसा नहीं बना है कि आप raw कैप्चर करें. But right now the new cameras are coming, so there are some log C, log E, log S, log, they are using their things. So we'll discuss it later on. We'll discuss it. So have you got that things, the difference between that JPG and RAW? So any other format you know?
.png.
No, .png for the web. This is the this is for the, yeah, this is not the format. You can change it. It's just not in the cameras.
Yeah.
So is there any confusion between RAW and JPG? Is it clear? So now we have another function that is called the white balance. Have you seen in your camera? There's a white balance options. There's a 4 or 5 options. In some cameras you can manage it manually, and some camera that is fixed, like outdoor के लिए sunny सा बना हुआ है for the sunny days, for indoor certain fluorescent, tungsten, सारे white balance लिखे होते हैं. They write down over there. Okay, you can select one. So what is basically white balance is? What?
White balance means correction of light.
Yeah.
Means, exact white is white, but the
Colors
Right.
in relation to white.
Color in relation to white. So it means, see, if we are in outdoor or sometimes we are in indoor, we can recognize the things. I recognize which kind of light is coming. हमने उसे देख लिया, we judge it, okay, no, it's look fine. Indoor में है, light जल रही है, no, it's look fine. Adjust कर लेते हैं. But in camera, you have to tell the camera, what actually, which types of color is coming. Because see, every lights have the certain color. Every lights have the certain colors. जो भी lights आ रही हैं आपके पास, they have the certain colors. And every colors have certain temperature. That is measured in Kelvin. जो आप देखते होंगे वहाँ पर 3200 K, it's a measured in Kelvin. Every colors is measured in Kelvin. Kelvin में हम उसे measure करते हैं. So they fixed something like the tungsten. If there is a tungsten bulb, tungsten light, means there is a 3200 Kelvin. If there is a daylight, there is 600 Kelvin. ये फिक्स है. Some cameras have, वो फिक्स होता है कि आपका डे लाइट के लिए Kelvin फिक्स किया हुआ है. For shade Kelvin फिक्स किया हुआ है. For fluorescent light फिक्स किया हुआ 4200. They have the fixed. आपको fluorescent में यूज़ करना है. Fluorescent, you know the what is fluorescent light is? No, this is sometimes it's more than 5600. More than 5600.
More than that light.
That's why. The tube lights. Have you ever traveled in metro?
Yes.
Metro, na? Metro have the true fluorescent lights in metro. Metro में why it's shifted in metro? Because sometimes metro is passing through the tunnels. कोई इंडोर से जा रहा है, फिर सडनली वो ऊपर जाता है, बाहर के एरिया में जाता है. फिर जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इफ देयर इज 3200 और फिर सडनली वो डे लाइट में आता, हाउ इट फील्स. वो नहीं लगता ट्रेन टनल से बाहर निकली है. इट्स फील लाइक दैट. जाते हैं मेट्रो के अंडरग्राउंड होके जाते हैं, फिर बाहर निकलता है. बट आपको बहुत ज़्यादा फील नहीं होता कि हम अभी इंडोर में थे, सडनली आउटडोर में. हैव यू फील दैट लाइट हैव द फील ऑफ आउटडोर एंड इंडोर. सो दिस इज द मिक्सअप थिंग्स. That's the reason 4200 Kelvin. In between उसने रखा है. अगर 3200 लगता है तो कैसा डिम लगता है जब वो आउटडोर में जाता है और लाइट सारी ऑन होती है. How you feel that? That's the reason metro have the fluorescent bulb, not properly daylight and not properly tungsten. भाई उसने tungsten यूज़ किया है, ना ही daylight. In between उसने क्या किया है, 4200 यूज़ किया है. जो household जो लाइट हम लोग यूज़ करते हैं, this kind of lights you purchase from Philips or some else, Cisco, whatever. Have you seen that on your tube lights के जो corners होते हैं और either the bulb के जो corners होते हैं वो अलग अलग कलर्स के होते हैं. देखा आपने? Sometimes is the blue, किसी पे blue होता है, उसके जो येलो होता है, येलो टिंच होता है. What's the denotation? वो क्या डिनोट कर रहा है?
Temperature.
This is the temperature. And जब आप बल्ब खरीदते हैं उस बल्ब के रैपर पे भी लिखा होता है 5600 Kelvin, 3200 लिखा होता है उस पर. जब आप हाउस होल्ड बल्ब भी खरीदते हैं आप, या एलईडीज़ खरीदिए, कुछ भी खरीदिए, उस पर भी लिखा होता है. तो मोस्ट ऑफ द लोग वो 4200 5600 वाले ही लेते हैं. अब तो ऐसे आ गए कि आप एलईडीज़ को भी कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. यू कैन कन्वर्ट द एलईडीज़. नॉट इवन द, मैं सिनेमा की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. व्हेन लाइट्स ही आ गई, आप हाउस होल्ड घर, आपने कभी शॉपर्स स्टॉप और कहीं और मॉल में जाइए, देयर इज डे लाइट बैलेंस लाइट एंड द टंगस्टन बैलेंस लाइट. आपके कपड़े दोनों में कैसे लग रहे हैं, हम दोनों में देख सकते हैं आप. देयर आर सम मॉल्स जिसके कि इसमें दिया हुआ है कि डे लाइट बैलेंस है और टंगस्टन बैलेंस. इट मीन्स दे जस्ट द ट्रू कलर्स कि एग्जैक्ट वाइट इज लुकिंग वाइट और नॉट. सो यू हैव टू टेल द कैमरा व्हाट एग्जैक्टली विच कलर ऑफ लाइट इज कमिंग, व्हाट इज द टेम्परेचर ऑफ दैट लाइट. So either you have to fix it if you can change it manually, or either in your cameras there is a tungsten balance, either there is a daylight balance. So sometimes you are shooting in shade, there is option for shade के लिए भी option कि आप shade में shoot कर रहे हो तो there is different kind of color temperature because you are shooting in shade. But normally we are using, अगर मैं lights की बात करूँ तो we are using two kind of light, that is tungsten and daylight, like the outdoor and indoor. So that's it. Have you lots of time you are facing that things. If you are shooting with your phone cameras, things appear blue. Things appear blue. होता है ना कि बाहर गए तो why it's happened? Because of the mismatching of white balance. Because your cell phone camera is in auto mode. You're using auto mode. So it may be the last time जो आपने click किया that was in indoor. So your camera sense that oh I'm in indoor, so right now I'm on 33,200. Suddenly आप आउटडोर पहुंच गए. जब तक कैमरा सेंस कर रहा है तब तक आपने क्या किया, यू जस्ट क्लिक द इमेज. कैमरे के सेंसर ने वाइट बैलेंस रख लिया 3200 एंड एक्चुअल लाइट है डे लाइट की. सो देयर इज़ अ डिफरेंस. नाउ जो आपका लाइट का कलर टेम्परेचर दैट इज़ मोर देन वट एवर यू सेट. सो जैसे ही ज़्यादा होगा इट अपीयर्स ब्लू. जितना ज़्यादा कलर टेम्परेचर होते जाएगा, जैसे आपने कैमरे में फिक्स किया और जो एक्चुअल कलर टेम्परेचर दैट इज़ ग्रेटर देन वट एवर यू सेट इन योर कैमरास, इट्स अपियर ब्लू होते जाता है. और अगर आप उससे कम रखते जाते हैं इट अपीयर्स वार्म येलो होते जाता है. लाइक आपने 3200 या 5600 सेट किया, नाउ द लाइट इज़ वार्म कि बाहर से शूट करके आया और अंदर आपने कर लिया. अब ये क्या होगा?
भी तो हम यूज़ कर सकते हैं.
Yeah, sure. People are using that things.
मूड के लिए.
Sometimes if you are creating night scene, you can use it. But the things is that कि contrast create कैसे कर सकते हो? You have to create contrast. In night there is a contrast. But day में contrast नहीं होता ना, flat होता है सब कुछ. हम create करना पड़े. But sometimes we convert that things. हम use करते हैं कि हमें थोड़ा सा orange दिखाना हो, थोड़ा सा tone change करना हो, तो you can manipulate with your white balance. But कैमरा विद दैट देयर इज ऑप्शंस. सम कैमरा जो हमारे आप स्टैंडर्ड लेवल के कैमरेज हैं जो आप स्टार्टिंग में आप यूज़ करते हैं लाइक कैनन 700D 550D, इसमें यू कांट चेंज इट मैनुअली. आप मैनुअली चेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं. जो आप मैनुअली मैं चाहूँ कभी 3200 सी व्हाट हैपेंड, दिस लाइट इज़ वर्किंग सिंस 1 year 6 months यू आर यूजिंग दैट लाइट्स. इसमें भी कलर टेम्परेचर विल बी डिक्रीज और इंक्रीज्ड है ना. बहुत दिनों से बल्ब यूज़ होता है तो जो फिलामेंट वाली बल्ब्स होती है, यू सी देयर इज़ अ मार्क ऑन दैट लाइट, क्योंकि सर्कल में जो लाइट चल रही है तो वो लाइट का हो सकता है कम हो जाए, समटाइम्स ज़्यादा हो जाए. तो कई बार क्या होता है 3200 ही वर्क नहीं कर रहा है, समटाइम्स आप क्या करते हो थोड़ा सा इंक्रीज़ करते हो, बढ़ाते हो, देन यू गॉट द ट्रू कलर्स. सो और समटाइम्स आप बहुत सारे हाउस होल्ड लाइट भी यूज़ कर रहे हो, देन यू आर यूजिंग सम एक्स्ट्रा लाइट्स. दैट टाइम्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मैनेज दैट थिंग्स. ये बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट होता है बिकॉज डिफरेंट कलर टेम्परेचर की लाइट आपके पास आ रही है. टू मैनिपुलेट इट कि आप क्या कर सकते हैं, द फंक्शन इज़ कि आप जो आपके सब्जेक्ट पे लाइट आ रही है वो कौन सी लाइट आ रही है, विच काइंड ऑफ लाइट इज़ फॉलिंग ऑन द सब्जेक्ट. क्योंकि आप अगर आपने सब्जेक्ट की लाइट को प्रॉपरली फिक्स कर लिया, लाइक टंगस्टन लाइट इज़ कमिंग ऑन हिज फेस और अदर फ्लोरोसेंट लाइट इज़ कमिंग ऑन हिज फेस, व्हाट आई प्रेफर आई विल गो विद दैट लाइट दैट इज़ कमिंग ऑन हिज फेस. कि फेस का अगर कलर मुझे मिल गया ट्रू, तो बाकी देयर इज लॉट्स ऑफ कलर्स. कोई फ्लोरोसेंट यूज़ कर रहा है, टंगस्टन हो रहा है, कुछ भी हो रहा है, उससे मतलब नहीं हमें स्किन का ट्रू कलर मिल गया है ना, तो आप वो यूज़ कर सकते हैं. बट समटाइम्स यू फेस डिफ़िकल्टीज व्हेन यू आर सेटिंग वाइट बैलेंस. दैट डिफ़िकल्टीज इज़ व्हेन यू आर यूजिंग हाउस होल्ड लाइट्स. आप कितना भी सेट कर लो, यू कांट गेट एक्चुअल कलर. आपको मिलता है कभी जो डे लाइट में मिलता है वो नहीं मिल पाता है. तो फेसेस जो डे लाइट में आपका कलर होता है, द सेम कलर्स सेम टेक्सचर्स नहीं मिल पाता है आपके स्क्रीन में जब तक कि आप कोई लाइट्स यूज़ ना करें, अंटिल कोई प्रोफेशनल लाइट यूज़ ना करें. एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम आपको वो चीज़ें नहीं मिल पाती. आप घर में जब क्लिक करते हो तो समटाइम्स इन सच काइंड ऑफ लाइट्स, LEDs LCD जो भी आ रही हैं, वो जो लाइट्स आप यूज़ करें उसमें नहीं मिलता है. वाई इट्स हैपन, वाई सिनेमा जो प्रोफेशनल लाइट्स गिव यू द एग्जैक्ट कलर.
इंटेंसिटी कम
नहीं इंटेंसिटी बढ़ा सकते. यू जस्ट पुट 3 or 4 bulb over here. You just put 3 or 4 bulb over here. You can increase the intensity. Or either there is a CFL came in 200 watt, 400 watt. You can put over here. Just increase the intensity, increase your ISO. Can you get that color? No. वो फेस किया, कभी फेस किया होगा आप लोगों ने कि इंडोर यू कांट गेट दैट मच ऑफ कलर, और अदर समटाइम्स यू आर शूटिंग सम इवेंट और समवेयर एल्स, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू डू दैट थिंग्स. व्हाई? Because see, every lights have certain CRI. CRI is called the color rendering index. This is the CRI. Color rendering index. And every lights have that things. Sun have the proper CRI, that's called the 100. So that's the reason कि sunlight में आपको चीज़ें बिल्कुल सही दिखती है. The CRI, color rendering index, कि is it producing genuine color or not after reflecting. जो लाइट आप पे पड़ रही है उससे आपका ट्रू कलर प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है. दैट इज़ द रीज़न इन ओल्ड टाइम पीपल आर सेइंग दैट परचेज योर क्लॉथ इन डे, डोंट परचेज इन नाइट. कहते थे ना जो आपके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स होंगे, दे टोल्ड यू दैट द परचेज योर क्लॉथ्स इन डे सो यू गॉट नॉट इन नाइट बिकॉज यू गॉट द प्रॉपर कलर्स. दुकान वाले क्या लगा देंगे? बिकॉज दैट लाइट्स डिडंट हैव सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ कलर रेंडरिंग इंडेक्स. तो हमारी जो हाउस होल्ड लाइट्स हैं, they didn't have certain kind of color rendering index. They didn't fix it कि मुझे इस पे फिक्स कर दिया है कि 80 और 90 होगा. So the professional lights have the certain CRI. Professional light have the 70 to 80, 80 to 90, something like that. The minimum is 70. 70 will be there. कि 70 CRI होगा, so it will produce your genuine color. ये आपको कलर प्रोड्यूस करके देगा. बट आपकी जो हाउस होल्ड लाइट्स हैं उसमें ये कैपेसिटी नहीं है. दैट्स द रीज़न आपका स्किन टोन या आपका जो एक्चुअल कलर है वो प्रोड्यूस नहीं होता है, वो आपको नहीं मिलता है. दैट्स द रीज़न बिकॉज ऑफ द कलर रेंडरिंग इंडेक्स. जिस लाइट का भी CRI सही होगा उसमें आपका स्किन टोन सही आएगा. जिस लाइट में नहीं होगा इट्स वेरी डिफ़िकल्ट टू गेट दैट. बट दिस इज डिजिटल, सो नाउ यू कैन मैनिपुलेट दैट. नाउ अगेन you can manipulate it. If you have used that things, there is a color chart over there. your camera जब आप वाइट बैलेंस सेट करते हैं, at time एक डायग्राम आता है, रेड ग्रीन ब्लू आता है. अगर आपको लग रहा है इट्स अपीयर मोर ब्लूइश, सी जो भी यूज़ किया होगा किसी ने भी उस ग्राफ को, देयर इज अ सर्टेन ग्राफ, कलर्स ग्राफ की रेड की इंटेंसिटी बढ़ा दो ना, फिर बिकॉज इट्स डिजिटल अब खेलते जाओ तुम. नाउ यू कैन इंक्रीज द वैल्यू. इफ देयर इज अ मोर ब्लूइश, डिक्रीज द वैल्यू ऑफ ब्लू, बिकॉज वाइट बैलेंस तो आपने फिक्स कर दिया फिर भी नहीं आ रहा है. अब आप ब्लू टोन, ब्लू कास्ट हटा दीजिए. ना अगर आपको वार्म करना है, वार्म की तरफ लेके आ जाइए. यू कैन मैनिपुलेट थ्रू देयर इन वाइट बैलेंस. क्योंकि लाइट तो आपका वही है, लाइट का CRI आप चेंज नहीं कर सकते. लाइट का CRI आपसे चेंज नहीं होगा, आप नहीं कर सकते. वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का है, मैंने मैन्युफैक्चर किया और दे दिया. दैट इज़ द रीज़न चाइनीज़ LED इज़ मोर चीपर देन अदर कंपनीज, बिकॉज चाइनीज़ LEDs there is no kind of CRI kind of things. That's the reason तुम जो देखते हो वेडिंग में, they are using that things. In post they are using lots of color grading. जो देखते हो फ्लेयर आ रहा है, ये कर रहा है, वो कर, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट कि उनका वो जो LED लगा होता है पैनल्स, CRI 100 नहीं होता. दैट्स द रीज़न एक्यूरेट कलर नहीं मिलता. एंड दिस लाइट, इफ यू आर यूजिंग दिस लाइट, यू गॉट द जेन्यून कलर, द प्रॉपर कलर. दिस इज द टंगस्टन. This is the
Because of CRI, the money value.
Yeah, because sure, because it's give the quality.
That's why, sir, mall light is very
Expensive, attractive, and also expensive. See, now they are coming with the proper CRI and temperatures, few lights. That's why they are very costly. That's the reason. That's why see the lighting of malls, lighting of have you ever feel the ambience of malls? You feel that ambience of malls, how it looks. It's not like the proper daylight. It's not like proper indoor. We ever feel like कि तुम indoor में हो कहीं पर? Have you feel that?
just like when you were there.
ये लगता है एक अपना वर्ल्ड है, अपना एक वर्ल्ड बना हुआ है. दिस वॉल्स हैं. यू डोंट फील दैट दिस द आउटडोर और दिस द इंडोर. कभी फील हुआ है रात के 11 बज रहे हैं, यू डोंट फील दैट. सुबह के 5 बज रहे हैं, कुछ भी हो रहा है, आपको पता नहीं चल रहा. मॉर्निंग 10 AM आप वहाँ पर, यू कैन फील दैट दिस द 10 AM. कोई फील होता है? नहीं होता है. आई थिंक इन प्रीवियस ईयर देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन 16 राइट द समथिंग लाइक दैट. कुछ क्वेश्चंस थे इन प्रीवियस ईयर्स. इवनिंग रोड लाइक यस.
सिचुएशन बतानी है इन क्लाउडेड,
In mall crowded, I think that. In village, some tea stalls kind of things. Tea stall. Yeah. So it's a kind of ambience. So this is the color temperature. So in few cameras you can set it either most of the जो हमारे हाई एंड कैमराज हैं उसमें आप मैनुअली यू कैन परफॉर्म इट, मैनुअली यू कैन सेट द वाइट बैलेंस, बट जिसमें नहीं है जो सेमी प्रोफेशनल कैमराज हैं विच हैव द फिक्स्ड
Film cameras don't have camera though.
film camera have the white without white balance. How can you do that without white balance? Is it possible? बताओ कैसे. रॉ को ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती, रॉ डिडंट नीड दैट, इन पोस्ट यू कैन चेंज. बिल्कुल करते ही हो, तभी तो एडजस्ट करते हैं हम.
Sir, raw can't, no sir.
Raw
They
is
can't need
Raw didn't need anything because the sensor data. So and white balance is post processing things. White balance is post processing things. So you didn't need to set the white balance for raw. In post you can change it because there is a light. So
film camera also.
yeah, there is a raw, so you can change it.
कुछ रखेंगे, कोई वैल्यू तो रखेंगे ना कलर टेम्परेचर.
हाँ, कोई वैल्यू तुम जो भी वैल्यू कुछ भी रखो, पोस्ट तुम चेंज कर लो. अगर तुमने टंगस्टन में अप्लाई नहीं होगा तुम कुछ भी वैल्यू रखो तुम्हारे लिए, वहाँ तुम चेंज कर सकते हो. प्रोफाइल वहाँ जाके चेंज कर लो. वहाँ तुम्हें डे लाइट रखना है और अदर यू हैव टू चूज द टंगस्टन. तुम्हें जैसा सिचुएशन था लाइट का, जैसा कलर था उसके अकॉर्डिंग यू जस्ट सेट इट. उसको फाइल सेट कर लो अपना. फिर तुम उसे जो भी मोड में डालना चाहते हो मोड रख लो अपना. जो भी पिक्चर स्टाइल रखना चाहते हो, बिकॉज वी हैव द डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ पिक्चर स्टाइल्स. सो व्हाट यू प्रेफर टू चूज. हमारे पास जो भी ऑप्शंस होते हैं, these are the options. Once you start shooting on manual mode, there is certain kind of options होते हैं वहाँ पर कि आप पोर्ट्रेट शूट करना चाहते हो, either you want to choose the landscape चूज करना चाहते हो, then there is one more option, the neutral.
Natural.
है ना. तो वो there is a colors over there, standard होते हैं, and more 4 or 5 options is more than as one जो भी options होते हैं. Have you ever feel that when you change that things, if you landscape to portrait पे जाते हैं, have you feel that the color have changed?
Yes.
The color have changed.
Contrast, saturations.
ये जो भी चीज़ है, everything will be changed. So that's the feature in RAW कि RAW में तुम अपने according उसे set कर सकते हो. Whatever you got in standard, you can't get it on portrait. Portrait में skin tone ज़्यादा मिलता है. Skin tone थोड़ा smooth होता है portrait mode पे. लैंडस्केप में थोड़ा रेडनेस की वैल्यू थोड़ी सी आ जाती है.
एक्सपोजर तो नहीं करेंगे.
नहीं, एक्सपोजर नहीं करेंगे. ये चीज़ें को वो कंट्रोल कर सकता है, बट हम न्यूट्रल रखते हैं कलर्स. व्हेन एवर यू आर शूटिंग, अब जब भी शूट करो आप न्यूट्रल ही जो है, न्यूट्रल जो उसका है वही आप यूज़ करो. जब भी आप फाइल साइज जब भी आप सेलेक्ट करते हो एट दैट टाइम वही होना चाहिए. बट समटाइम्स अगर आप पोर्ट्रेट शूट कर रहे हो, जस्ट यूज़ द पोर्ट्रेट मोड, बिकॉज पोर्ट्रेट गिव यू लिटिल बिट फील ऑफ दैट स्किन टोन का थोड़ा सा फील जो है वो आता है. सो थोड़ी शार्पनेस आपको अच्छी लगती है स्किन पे. सो ओके, वन सेकंड. नाउ फिल्म स्टार्टिंग वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट द मीटरिंग मोड इन यू फाइंड इट. हैव यू सीन दैट मीटरिंग मोड? There is different kind of metering mode, but mainly we will work on. There's the center weighted. One is matrix, that's called the evaluative in Canon, evaluative metric. Then there's a spot metering, and one more I think there is. Now there's no multi-spot metering. There's a multi-spot metering too. In Canon Mark III, there's a multi-spot metering. So how it works? Have you ever used that metering mode? That metering mode. Which mode you use? Which mode you apply?
Spot metering.
Spot metering for what? What is the purpose?
For correct exposure, because if I need correct exposure, just like which part of the skin is falling down light proper, so focus is on that part, and our camera meter.
No, we didn't use it for the focus actually.
पर्टिकुलर एक्सपोजर ऑन अ पर्टिकुलर स्पॉट.
It's not using for the focus. Most of the people tend to use it for the focus actually, but it's not for the focus. It's for the exposure.
So how to
Yeah, it's for that's the reason how they calculate that things. So there's a different metering mode. That's why there's a different metering mode. It's look like you can focus over there. It's look like that because the metering mode is over there. There's some circle over there. So you feel that there must be focus. You can focus it precisely on that particular. But how can it be focused? You are using macro lens? No, you are using same aperture. You are using same aperture, same distance. So it's feel like there's a macro. No. It's only for the exposure. It's only for the exposure, not for the focus. And how it works, when you are using matrix mode, at that time, the 95% of your areas of your viewfinder, जो व्यू फाइंडर का एरिया है आपका, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द ऑप्टिक्स, ऑप्टिकल एक्सपोजर की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, जो ऑप्टिकल आपका एक्सपोजर आ रहा है, तो 95% जो आपके स्क्रीन में जो भी एरिया आ रहा है, in matrix mode your camera will tell about that exposure. Is it overexposed or underexposed? That's the reason there is a mode, there is a meter, and this meter fall in center. In center there is an arrow, there is a 0. And right hand side there is a +1, 2, 3. And left hand side there is a 1, -1, -2, -3. This aspect is there. ये ratio में लिखा हुआ रहता है. So once you are sitting over there, अगर overexposed है, तो they take that 95% of that areas. 95% areas को they are covering 95% of areas and tell you that you are right now you are overexposed or underexposed. We are giving you the exposure for whole areas, like the 95% areas. It means the whole areas, like the background, foreground, midground, whatever in your frame. The 95% of areas, exposure will tell you that you are overexposed or underexposed. So that's the reason you are able to capture through the viewfinder without seeing actual exposure. आपको actual exposure तो आप LCD पे देख रहे हो, LED पे देख रहे हो, यहाँ पर देख रहे हो. Is it overexposure, underexposed? In optics, you didn't feel that. Is it overexposure or underexposed? That metering will help you to see the things you are over or under. If you are fall in the center like 0, then properly exposed. If fall in the right hand side, you are overexposed. If you are falling in the left hand side, is it underexposed? Okay, so you have to be in center. You have to be in center. If you are using auto mode, always it will fall in center. So in manually, you have to make it. You have to increase the ISO, decrease the ISO, because it's the overexposure, underexposed, depend upon the situation. So if the same situation, there's a sky, then there is a person, there's a mountain, and there's a person. So if you captured, it show you that there is an overexposed because the sky have the lights, then there's a mountain, and then there's a person. But when you zoom in or when you crop that image, that person is underexposed. There's no light.
Yeah.
There's no light. Faces many times he faces this problem. On that person, there's no light. So now there's another metering mode through which you can judge the things. That's called the center weighted. Now in center weighted mode, camera will not tell you the 95% of that area's exposure. Camera will only tell you that the center's area's exposure. Okay, this is your frame. So have you ever used the center weighted? You see that such kind of things is over there. Round circle बना हुआ होगा ऐसा कुछ round ऊपर में center का areas. तो अब कैमरा क्या करेगा आपको? Camera will tell you that the exposure of that particular areas. That particular areas का exposure camera बताएगा, not whole areas, not the 95% of your viewfinder. Only the center. Now your camera will tell you when you are on evaluative or matrix mode, that time you are overexposed or you are in center, you are properly exposed. But hence you change it to matrix to center weighted, now camera will tell you you are underexposed. Now you are underexposed because camera is only calculating the value of center. तो वो सिर्फ सेंटर का एरिया कैलकुलेट कर रहा है.
फ्रेम के सेंटर के लिए.
फ्रेम के सेंटर के लिए वो एरिया आपको दिखाई देगा थ्रू द व्यू फाइंडर. यू कैन सी इट. अगर आपने यूज़ किया होगा तो यू सी दैट थिंग्स. वो राउंड सा आता है, राउंड सा सर्कल. यू फील दैट नाउ योर कैमरा विल ओनली टेल यू अबाउट दैट एक्सपोजर. ये सेंटर का है, अब तुम अंडर एक्सपोज. नाउ बिकॉज नाउ इट्स डिपेंड अपॉन यू व्हाट इज योर सेंटर ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. इज इट सब्जेक्ट, इज इट माउंटेन, और इज इट स्काई? बिकॉज यू कांट कंट्रोल दैट लाइट. उसे नहीं कर सकते. तो अगर तुम्हें स्काई एक्सपोज करना है, इट मस्ट बी ही विल बी अंडर एक्सपोज. अगर ये सब्जेक्ट तुम्हें एक्सपोजर दिखाना है, यू हैव टू बी ऑन प्रॉपर, और अदर यू हैव टू इंक्रीज द ISO or you have to increase the exposure, so sky will be burn out because वो तो ऑलरेडी एक्सपोज था, मैट्रिक्स में एक्सपोज था. तुमने कुछ चेंज नहीं किया. योर सेटिंग इज रिमेन सेम, exposure is remain same. You only change the metering mode through evaluative to center weighted. Evaluative matrix is same. Evaluative to center weighted. Now your exposure is in left hand side. This is the -1. One stop under because there is no much more light. But in matrix mode, आपका कैमरा सब कुछ रिलेट कर रहा था, सारा कुछ ले रहा था, स्काई का भी, इसका भी, इसका भी. नाउ is only calculating the value of that areas. So now you are underexposed. So अगर दोनों को एक्सपोज करना होगा कि वो भी एक्सपोज हो और ये भी एक्सपोज हो, so what you can do, you can put extra light and manage it. हो सकता है, you can't control the sunlight, so you can put some light on your subject, or either it's depend upon your center of interest, you want that subject or not. So this is center weighted metric mode.
Sir, if we have to manage the, suppose my subject is on the one half of the frame,
Yeah,
and second half of the frame is like that sunny
yeah,
mountain,
yeah,
and if we use center weighted metering,
yeah.
then how to
There is one more metering mode. What's the name is?
spot meter?
Spot will only give you the areas of only 4% of a screen areas. 4%. If there is a 95%, if the area is 10 feet or 100 feet, whatever the area is in your viewfinder, whatever, or 10 mm or 20 mm, तो 20 mm तो only 4%. सिर्फ 4% जो है 4% का एक्सपोजर बताएगा, इसका टिनी पॉइंट एक्सपोजर बताएगा आपका. वन मोर मीटरिंग मोड इज देयर, मैट्रिक, इवोल्यूटिव, सेंटर वेटेड, एंड वन मोर spot is the name. In some cameras there is that metering mode. You can change that place. You can change that mode. You can manage that place. Like center weighted will be fixed, but in some camera you can change that things. Center you can just change it to center, to left or right, whatever you want. Like spot metering, you can change that things. In spot metering you can change from here to there. I want this spot, I want this spot, I want this spot. तो तुम उसे चेंज कर सकते हो. You can change that place. Like it will not fall in center. You can change it कि मुझे इस साइड का एक्सपोजर देखना है, ये सब्जेक्ट का देखना है. Go over there and check it out. वहाँ कर सकते हो. So in spot metering, now it will only tell you about the 4% areas. So where you can use this one.
Proper portfolio like that.
Proper portfolio, yeah, maybe proper portfolio. Sometimes you can use it for the portfolio because you need only such kind of facial expression of these areas. Or sometimes, sometimes you can use it like if there is a shade and light, like if light is falling from the sky and there's a tree and light is falling in on, ये ज़मीन पे light पड़ रही है. Oh, now there's a bird, rays of light is coming on, there's a 2 or 3 birds, you want to expose it. So अब क्या हो रहा है, if you are using another metering mode like matrix or something else, because there is a light and there is a shade, there is a light, there is a shade, so it will overexpose. So what you can do, you just manipulate it. तुम under कर दोगे इसे. But फिर जब तुम image देख रहे हो, at that time you see that the third word is underexposed. Third word is not exposed properly, because on the one word there is a light is falling, another have the shade, third one have the light. So this is the things. Just use a spot metering, and particularly उस spot का, जिस spot का तुम्हें चाहिए, that spot को metering करके judge कर लो. Now you got that point.
Where proper light is there.
Yeah, where proper light is there.
प्रोफेशनली भी यूज करते हैं.
Professionally तो हम फिर we are using light meter professionally. ये तो कैमरे में see in cameras features this one is, so you can whenever you are using viewfinders, through the viewfinders you are using, you can check it out which is the portrait or landscape, or it depend upon your center of interest, what area you want to expose. So but there is a functions not work properly, but yeah, kind of things it will work. It may help you to give you the correct exposure. Now it's depend upon you. Now the LEDs or LCDs तुम देखते हो, or you can calculate. Sometimes if your LCD is not working, sometimes it may be your LCD is not working. हो सकता है खराब हो गया. How can you judge that exposure? It's difficult because you are not using optically. Optical तो तुमने use किया नहीं है. So this is the way. If sometimes you are stuck, तुम्हें नहीं मिल रहा है, और फिर why we use these things through the viewfinder, or through the viewfinder use the metering mode. Actually sometimes if you may stuck over there is no battery, there is a less battery. If you are using LED, more battery will be consumed. If you are using fast shutter, if you are using the continuous click, so there is a difference. If you are going to purchase the camera like they write down over there the 12 fps or 13 fps, they write over there the 13 fps continuous click तुम कर सकते हो within a second, 13 click 15 clicks यही लिखते हैं ना, कर सकते हो. So एक्चुअल में वो 13 क्लिक्स तुम थ्रू द व्यू फाइंडर कर सकते हो, नॉट थ्रू द लाइव व्यू मोड, बिकॉज थ्रू द लाइव व्यू मोड इट टेक्स टाइम. प्रोसेसिंग होगा डिस्प्ले पे आएगा, प्रोसेसिंग होगा डिस्प्ले पे आएगा, ये है ना. तो जब तुम वो यूज़ करो एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, तुम्हें जो नंबर्स ऑफ फ्रेम दिए हुए हैं लाइक द FPS, 30 FPS तभी होगा जब तुम व्यू फाइंडर से क्लिक करोगे. दैट्स द रीजन कि बैटरी भी बचानी है, बैटरी भी बच गया, यू कैन सेव द बैटरीज. ऑल्सो यू कैन मोर क्लिक, जब तुम्हें कुछ फास्ट मोशन में कुछ हो रहा है, यू नीड मोर नंबर ऑफ क्लिक्स. तो अगर इसमें 13 हो रहा है थ्रू द डिस्प्ले, यू ओनली कैलकुलेट 10 और 9. 13 नहीं होगा. ऐसा नहीं कि उसने 13 लिख दिया है, तो कुछ ना कुछ सबके अपने अपने बाउंडेशन होता है कि मैं 13 को यहीं तक 13 है तो 13 थ्रू द व्यू फाइंडर, बट दे डिडंट राइट डाउन ओवर देयर कि 13 इमेज थ्रू द व्यू फाइंडर. They just only write 30, not the 13 like the 10 on व्यू फाइंडर, वो सेपरेट नहीं करते हैं. इवन वो जो मैंने आपको मेगा पिक्सल बताया, दे डिडंट राइट डाउन ओवर देयर द इफेक्टिव मेगा पिक्सल. वो बहुत अंदर डिस्क्रिप्शन में आप जाओगे, देन दे राइट डाउन देयर इज इफेक्टिव मेगापिक्सल इज 29.5, दिस मेगापिक्सल इज 30.5, एक्चुअल मेगापिक्सल इज 30.5. Yeah, this is the partial metering. I got that. I forgot that things. This is called the partial metering. That is called the partial metering. Through partial metering, you can, manage that things. You can shift that partial metering to the left or right or center where you want to fix it. That is the partial metering. Partial metering को तुम change कर सकते हो, तो जहाँ का exposure, either the right hand side or the left hand side, on the up or down, जहाँ भी करना चाहते हो, you can fix it. सो इससे पहले कभी मीटरिंग मोड यूज़ किया था आप लोगों ने?
Yes.
नो, मतलब मीटरिंग मोड फॉर द फोकस है, फॉर फोकस और फॉर द एक्सपोजर,
Not very.
फॉर एक्सपोजर.
Every
Yeah.
time confusion.
Every time, is it for focus or not?
I think spot meter sometimes lots of power.
And sometimes no, actually see in spot metering ना वो क्या करते हैं, in few cameras there is a वो line बना देते हैं, there is certain line over there, वो lines बना देते हैं पीछे, तो आपको लगता है फोकस को वो दिखा रहा है मुझे, वो फोकस मुझे दिखा रहा है, वो फोकस वहाँ पर हो रहा है, कुछ माइक्रो सा फोकस और पिकिंग होता है. पिकिंग इज़ डिफरेंट थिंग्स, है ना, कि वो पिक कर रहा है, वहाँ से दिखा रहा है आपको, सर्कल दिखा रहा है, बट वो एक्चुअली नॉट फॉर द फोकस, वो फोकस के लिए नहीं है. वो पुराने कैमरेज में हुआ करते थे कि डेप्थ ऑफ फील्ड प्रीव्यू दिखाता था कहाँ तक है, दैट्स द प्रीवियस कैमराज, बट इस समय नहीं होता इतना. सो एक्चुअली इट्स फॉर द यूज़ ऑफ एक्सपोजर. ओके, बोल सकते, चलिए मैं यहाँ पर आ जाता हूँ. ओके, सो पिक्चर स्टाइल और आपका क्या कहते हैं पिक्चर साइज़ और व्यू फाइंडर, रॉ, NEF और जो भी फॉर्मेट है आपके, या लिटिल बिट फैमिलियर विद दैट वन, तो हम इस पे ज़्यादा नहीं करते हैं. सो अभी हम थोड़ा सा एक्सपोजर को और एक्सप्लेन कर लें, क्योंकि मुझे लग रहा है आप लोगों को बेसिक्स लिटिल बिट क्लियर हैं सबके. तो कोई और फंक्शंस जो कैमरे के आप लोगों को नहीं पता हो, कुछ और फंक्शंस, कुछ और, बिकॉज देयर लॉट्स ऑफ बटन्स, लॉट्स ऑफ फंक्शंस, बट द बेसिक्स इज रिमेन सेम. लाइक आपके एक्सपोजर्स हैं, देन जो भी आपके सेटिंग्स हैं वो है, आपका वाइट बैलेंस है, आपका पिक्चर स्टाइल है, ठीक है. देन वहाँ आ जाते हैं नंबर ऑफ क्लिक्स आ जाते हैं, कितने नंबर ऑफ क्लिक्स आप करते हैं, लाइक द 12, 13, 15 जो भी है, देयर इज़ अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ सेटिंग्स ओवर देयर. सो इफ़ यू यूज़ दैट कैमराज यू विल बी मोर फैमिलियर विद दैट वन, कि उसके जितने भी बटन्स आप यूज़ करोगे वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा आप उसके साथ फैमिलियर हो सकते हो. सो बेसिकली मैं अपर्चर पे बात कर लेते हैं हम लोग. सो इसमें मोर इफेक्टिव कि हम अपर्चर को थोड़ा और एक्सप्लेन कर लें. So aperture is inside the lens. All of you know that the aperture is inside the lens, and aperture is denoted by f stop. Okay, aperture denoted by f. A stop, larger the number, smaller the opening. Larger the number, smaller the opening. So how you affect your exposure? Through the light. Let's control light. Aperture, control the light, amount of light that is falling, and it's controlled by the speed is controlled by the
Time.
that shutter speed. सो अपर्चर में आप क्या करेंगे? अपर्चर जो है आपका एफ नंबर से डिसाइड आप करते हैं, एफ नंबर से डिनोट करते हैं. यू कैन चेंज दैट थिंग्स कि अपर्चर 2.8, 3.5, सॉरी 5.6, 8, 11, 16 जो भी है, यू कैन चेंज इट. एंड ये आपके लेंस पे लिखा हुआ होता है. व्हाटएवर थिंग्स आप व्हेनेवर यू परचेज द लेंस पे नंबर्स हैं, उसके अपर्चर है. सो जितने भी हैव यू हर्ड दैट द फास्ट लेंसेज एंड द स्लो लेंसेज? हैव यू हर्ड दैट दिस इज द फास्ट लेंसेज, दिस वन इज द स्लो लेंस? सुना होगा आप लोगों ने. या हाउ वी डिसाइडेड दैट दिस वन इज द फास्ट एंड दिस वन इज द स्लो? So actually it's for the light. If light is traveling,
जैसे prime lenses basically.
Yeah.
50 mm lenses.
Yeah.
Which f-stop is like from 1.4 or 1.8. Basically, these are considered as the fast lenses.
yeah. So it means in which lens light can travel fast? Yeah. Which lenses light can travel fast? That is called the fast lenses. Light travel fast to 1.4. More light will come compared to 5.6. क्या हो रहा है आपका? कम ज़्यादा लाइट आ रही है किसमें? 1.4 में. ठीक है, 1.4 में ज़्यादा है. सो दैट्स द रीज़न इसको हम कंसिडर करते हैं 2.8 से पहले के जो भी लेंसेज हैं, 2.8 तक के जो लेंसेज, इट्स द फास्ट लेंसेज. जनरली यूज इट, ऐसा कोई इसका नाम नहीं है, टेक्निकली कोई नाम नहीं, बट पीपल आर यूजिंग और वी आर यूजिंग फास्ट लेंसेज ऑल द टाइम. So is the consider in 2.8 is considered as the fast lenses. Sometimes the 1.4, but after 2.8, 4 is not the, you can't say this is not the fast lenses, it's the 4. So most of the consumer oriented lenses have you faced that the 3.5 to 3.5 is the kit lenses kind of things. This one is, you can say there's the kit lenses. This is a kind of dedicated lenses. You can say that Sony manufactured the dedicated lens on some kind of sensors. So there is that ramping 3.5 to 5.6 ramping will be there, but most of the, if you use the luxury series lenses, there is no ramping at all. 1.4 will remain 1.4, 2.8 is remain 2.8, 3.5 remain, sorry 4 is remain 4. It doesn't change. But जो आप सेमी प्रोफेशनल लेते हैं किट लेंसेज, उसमें ये चीज़ें चेंज होती हैं because of the size of that things. Yeah, because of the size of that things. So aperture, one thing aperture affects your light, your exposure means, and you can control it by increasing the number. You can control it. Larger the number, smaller the opening will be. So you can control that light. Also you can control one more thing, that is your depth of field. Everyone know that about the depth of field? One second. One second. See, in this images, everything is sharp. Everything is sharp. So we sharpen. Everything is in focus. The background, foreground. Have you seen it? Now you see it. So, क्या इसमें everything is in focus. The foreground and background. We seen some images where there is no focus at all. Means focus होता है, but in tiny selected point पे focus होता है. And there is a blurry background is out of focus. The background is out of focus. Sometimes foreground is out of focus. होता है ना? But in this images, everything is sharp. So the one thing that can affected by your aperture, that is your depth of field. Depth of field is controlled by, the one aspect is the depth of field is controlled by your aperture. You can control this one by aperture. You can control that depth of field by aperture. And what is depth of field is, that is zone of acceptable sharpness is your depth of field. Zone of acceptable sharpness means when you focus somewhere, focus करते manually, if you focused, focus is on teeny point. जो sharp focus होता है वो teeny point पे ही होता है. And there is a उसका जो 2/3 है वो क्या कहते हैं पीछे focus होता है, then foreground पे focus होता है, यही होता है focus. So that zone is called depth of field. The zone of acceptable sharpness. I am using the word acceptable. Means that is acceptably sharp. वो acceptable है वहाँ तक. फिर धीरे धीरे क्या होता है? Start out of focus होना start होता है. तो zone जो है that is your depth of field. वो जो zone जाएगा वहाँ से वहाँ तक that is your depth of field. And you can control it by your aperture. And how can you say that? How can I control that one? Because the light is coming through there. So there's a less light will come or more light will come. So how can you make it, the larger depth of field, the great depth of field and the shallow depth of field?
Greater number of X to result in deep depth of field.
Yeah, how it can be?
Actually, when I open the aperture,
Yeah.
then the sensitivity of the sensor goes on the particular where we focused, and the whole camera conscious to that part, and a lot of lights are on the same part where the camera focuses. That's why that areas are crystal and the rest part is blurred.
Actually, no. Actually, what happened? Have you ever seen the waters coming through the pipeline? Ever seen the waters coming through the pipeline? So see the flow of that water when this is coming from the bigger pipeline. See the flow. How much area is covering? What's the flow and what is the not the speed, the flow. Check the flow. Then just made a pinhole over there in that pipeline. Make a pinhole and see the sharpness of that light. Sorry, that water. See the sharpness. Is there a difference between that the bigger hole and the smaller one where light is passing? Is there a difference? Which one will be more sharp?
It is very little.
Very little areas will be more sharp. So same with the light. If you increase the numbers, the opening will be smaller. So focused light will be go inside. So it will be more focused. The zone of area will be bigger. You got the great depth of it. Like water is coming from that bigger hole. So more water is actually there's a more water, but not sharp. But you just make a pinhole and just check it out how it works. So that's the reason you got depth of field, the great depth of field. When you increase the app numbers, so it means your opening is smaller. So now you can write it like that. Larger the number, smaller the opening. So great depth of field. सीधा इसका opposite कर दीजिए. Smaller the number, larger the opening, and the shallow depth of field. Now एक और line होगा और आपको याद हो जाएगा. Larger the number, smaller the opening, less light will come, and great depth of field. There is a 4 things. इस तरीके से याद कर लो. You can calculate it कि इस तरीके से 4 things that is you can calculate. Larger the number, smaller the opening, less light will come, and great depth of field. So there is a one aspect that is effective depth of field. There is a more things that affect your depth of field. We'll discuss on later on. But because we हम aperture की बात कर रहे थे, तो one things that is affected by the aperture, that is also your depth of field. You can control your exposure through aperture. So 3 things that you can control your exposure, that is ISO aperture. Have you heard about the that things, the exposure triangle? Exposure triangle आपने पढ़ा भी होगा. Exposure triangle, have you heard about the exposure triangles? So it's a simple like that. जैसा अभी हमने discuss किया. It's not the triangle like ISO, then the aperture, then the shutter speed. One value is just increase, the another will be decrease. So just like the auto mode, you can make a graph of it. A graph बना सकते हो. You can make a graph of it. Just use the ISO 100, shutter 50, aperture 2.8, and आप ऐसे divide करते जाइए. You just increase the f number 2.8 to 4. Now what happened? Less light will come. क्या होगा 2 पॉइंट क्या आपने क्या किया ओपनिंग क्लोज कर दी. ओपनिंग जैसे ही क्लोज हुई व्हाट हैपेंड लेस लाइट विल फॉल. आपका क्या हुआ एरो जो था जो सेंटर में था लाइट मीटर में किधर हो गया लेफ्ट हो गया लेफ्ट साइड में हो गया. मुझे अपर्चर उतना ही चाहिए. व्हाट वी कैन डू जस्ट इंक्रीज द ISO और द शटर डिक्रीज ना. शटर स्पीड बढ़ाएंगे तो वो हो जाएगा. बट हाउ कैन यू इंक्रीज दैट वन. शटर स्पीड नहीं बढ़ा सकते. देयर इज अ वन सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ रूल. अगर आप फोटोग्राफी में हम यूज़ करते हैं तो एक दैट्स यू कैन से देयर इज अ काइंड ऑफ थंब रूल कि अगर आप चाहते हैं कि मोशन ब्लर या कुछ ऐसा नहीं आए तो वॉट एवर योर फोकल लेंथ विल बी लाइक इफ़ यू आर शूटिंग ऑन 50 mm, if you are using a 60 mm, so your shutter must be greater than your focal length. This is you can use like 50 shutter 1/50 if your subject is static, but this is a kind of thumb rule in professional world. If you are using in some photographers, if you are using your like the 100 mm, just be your shutter on be on 100 mm, be on 100 mm. So focal length, your shutter will be not less than your focal length sometimes. So try to use that one. But sometimes if there is a less light, you cannot go with that one because you can't increase the value of ISO. ISO की वैल्यू बहुत ज़्यादा आप बढ़ा नहीं सकते. So that's the reason आप कर सकते हैं. So this is the aperture, shutter and ISO. Is there any confusion? नहीं है एक्सपोजर में. So हम थोड़े से कैमरे के और जो कुछ पार्ट्स हैं जैसे everyone uses Canon, Nikon and Sony. यूज़ किया सबने. On lens there is certain kind of things they are written or on camera body when you are purchasing. Reduction or sometimes the IS models, IS or something as US, they are written over there. What is that?
Vibration reduction.
Yeah, this one is. See, when you are using the little bit a small movement आप कुछ भी दे रहे हो. If in camera, I'm talking about the cameras. If handheld, you are using handheld और कोई छोटा सा movement है, the image will be shaky maybe because you are not using the faster shutter speed. So that's the reason. And every cameras company have their own patent for that reduction. इस movement को ठीक करने के लिए थोड़ा बहुत jerk है तो you can get it little bit steady. कि वो वाइब्रेट नहीं होगा इमेज शेकी सा नहीं होगा. तो एवरी कैमरा और एवरी कैमराज कंपनी हैव देयर ओन पेटेंट. सो इफ यू आर यूजिंग कैनन हैव द IS दैट्स कॉल्ड द इमेज स्टेबलाइजर. Nikon have that VR vibration reduction. Then the Panasonic have OIS. This is a kind of optical image stabilizer. So Sony have S or something else, S like SS. Sony have image stabilizer. Every company have their own patent. So whenever you are using that mode in Panasonic or some this cameras, like every cameras have their own patent. So you can use it for the vibrate. If you are using Nikon, this is the vibrate reduction. Pentax is the SR shake reduction. Sony triple S super steady shot. So these are the things over there. So you can use feel little bit static. ऐसा नहीं कि तुम लेके camera you are just running the camera just like the feel of gimbals it will give you. No. अगर थोड़ा बहुत in still image में थोड़ा बहुत jerk सा हो रहा है, थोड़ा बहुत shaky सा होगा, तो लाइट शेक करते हुए तुम्हारे सेंसर पे नहीं आएगा. ग्लिची सा इमेज प्रोड्यूस नहीं करेगा. थोड़ा बहुत ऐसा नहीं तुम लेके कैमरा भाग रहे हो देन दैट टाइम इट विल वर्क. नो, लिटिल बिट काइंड ऑफ रिडक्शन ये काम कर सकते हैं. थोड़ा बहुत रिडक्शन में ये काम करेगा. तो एवरी लेंसेज हैव दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स कि सब कैमरे के अपने अपने मॉडल्स हैं, सबके अपने अपने नाम्स हैं. तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग आप यूज़ कर सकते हो. ओके, चलिए. ओके, नाउ लेंस में हमने बात की. नाउ लेंस में आपने जूम किया, यू आर जूमिंग इन एंड सेल फोन ऑल्सो यू यूज़ योर जूम. सेल फोन में यूज़ करते हैं जूम आप. सो हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट द डिजिटल जूम और ऑप्टिकल जूम? यू आर गोना परचेज योर सेल फोन, there are certain kind of things they are written. There's a digital zoom and the optical zoom. They have written over there. There is the digital and there is the optical. Have you faces any difference between both? The quality, the quality.
Optical.
No, it will be less.
In optical,
In digital zoom it is less quality.
in digital zoom it is less qualities, not distortion. Distortion is another things. सब कोई distortion पे पड़े हुए हो, क्या बात है ना?
Optical zoom तो better होगा ना.
Yeah. Optics will be much better. Optics will be better. क्योंकि जब आप ऑप्टिकल यूज़ करते हो तो क्या होता है, आपका इमेज ऑप्टिकली मैग्नीफाई होके जाता है. दिस ऑप्टिकली मैग्निफिकेशन ओवर देयर. ऑप्टिकल मैग्नीफाई कर रहा है. इट मीन्स 20 मेगापिक्सल विल रिमेन 20 मेगापिक्सल फॉर दैट इमेज. आइदर यू आर यूजिंग इट तो 70 mm or then you are using 200 mm. That 20 megapixel will remain 20 megapixels. When you short it, once you selected that the M file or large file or जो भी है, large medium जो भी करते हो आप, वहाँ पे लिखा होता है 20 m, it means 20 megapixels file will be. So that 20 megapixels will work like 20 megapixels on your optical zoom. चाहे कोई भी फाइल साइज आप सेलेक्ट करो, that will remain same. 20 megapixel will remain 20 megapixels. That is work of optical zoom. But in digital zoom, when you are digitally zoomed in, that time it's not the optical is zooming. Digitally they zoomed it. So have you ever cropped your images? Like if you captured one image and just cropped it, have you got same sharpness as the previous one? No. Why? It's not sharp. Because अब क्या हुआ, आपका जो डायमेंशन था, वट एवर द रेशियो इज, उस पर क्या आया, आपके पिक्चर का 1/3 एरिया है. इट मीन्स अगर होल एरिया इज द 20 मेगापिक्सल्स, नाउ आपके पास आ रहा है 1/3 तो 6.5, नियर बाई 6.5 और 6.7.5 आपके पास रख लीजिए. 7 मेगापिक्सल का इमेज आपके पास आया है. दैट एरिया इज 20 मेगापिक्सल्स. यू जस्ट कट दैट एरियाज, 1/3 areas you are just taking in. So 1/3 area will be like 7 megapixels because you are cutting 14 megapixels. बाकी का 14 हटा दिया ना आपने.
They have we cut the pixel number.
Yeah, the same things happen with the digital zoom. They are not optically magnify that things. They are just, so that's the reason whenever you purchase that cameras, such types of cameras or such type of cell phone, they are written over there 3x zoom, 4x zoom, 5x zoom, 11x zoom. They are written over there 11x. How can you calculate how much area is covering? What should be the focal length for this one? What is focal length for 11x?
Focal length,
What is mean by 11x?
11 times certain part of the into multiply into 11 same pixel. Means if suppose 10 pixel is there.
Yeah.
And, there is 5x means 10
Increasing the focal length.
multiply into 5x means 10 times the bigger the
10 time
bigger the
bigger the
image.
10 times bigger the image. You are little bit nearby. Actually, whatever the focal length, the starting focal length, like some camera have the 18 or some have whatever the area they are covering. Actually, whatever the area covering, the standard is 18 mm. They started from 18 mm. So if somewhere there is a 18 or there is 11x, तो just multiply 18 by 11. It's the 18 200. ऐसा नहीं वो 90 198 के समथिंग जाएगा, कुछ ऐसा होगा, या 192 के समथिंग जाएगा, but they considered it like the 18 200 is the standard. This is the 11x means 18 and 200. As your camera's lenses, your zooming capacity is 18 to 200. तुम्हारे डिजिटल जूम कर रहे हो तुम, डिजिटल जूम तुम्हारा 18 से 200 का है. But what is difference between both? The optical and digital. Suppose if you are using 22 megapixel cameras. 22 megapixel camera, so you just did the 11x zoom. Just divide that 22 by 11. You are only getting the image that is only the 2 megapixels. That image will be only for the 2 megapixels. Same as you cropping your ऑप्टिकल एलिमेंट्स. सेम है ना. ऑप्टिकल इमेज को क्या किया आपने, 2/3 में डिवाइड कर दिया मान लीजिए, तो 21 मेगापिक्सल, 20 मेगापिक्सल का 1/3 लेना है, 7 मेगापिक्सल्स काम कर रहा है. क्रॉप करके आपका क्या हुआ, 22 मेगापिक्सल्स, 11x जूम कर दिया, 11 तो ऑनली 2 मेगापिक्सल्स इमेज में बेटा. तो वो जो इमेज होगा सेम यू गॉट इट लाइक 2 मेगापिक्सल्स. So that is difference. So whenever you're gonna shoot with your digital zoom, don't zoom it just captured it, so you got the wide images and just crop it, you got the same image. You got the same image. उसको crop कर लो, तुम्हारे पास दोनों image हो जाएंगे, एक तो वो भी होगा, एक तो होगा. Sometimes digital zoom will work. In some cameras, in some some broadcasting camera have the optical zoom, and also there is a digital zoom. Some broadcasting cameras have the both types of zoom, optical as well as digital zoom. Both zoom is there because the capacity is like 200 to 700. But sometimes see in sports they want some macro shots, macro kind of shots. At the point of time, अब वो कैमरा तो लगाएगा नहीं उस शॉट के लिए. They are not using another camera, so the lens capacity is 200 to 700, 200, 800, whatever the broadcasting lenses होते हैं that have. Now, अब क्या होगा उसी time in cameras, in lenses there is a digital zoom like 2x or 3x. So 700 becomes the 1400. For the broadcasting, they introduce these things कि तुम उसी टाइम उसे zoom कर लो, but the quality will be compressed. Now quality will be decreased. Now the quality will not same. Like if there is a 30 megapixel, they decreased right now. It's become the 15 megapixels. जो तुमने यूज़ किया वो 15 हो गया. अगर तुमने ऑप्टिकल यूज़ किया, that's the reason तुमने सेल फोन से कभी जूम करके देखो कैसा लगता है. The 30 image there is lots of noise because why noise happening? Light तो वही है. लाइट तो वही. वाई देयर इज नो शार्पनेस एज वेल. शार्पनेस नहीं रहता उतना. वाई बिकॉज जो 30 मेगापिक्सल को 3x जूम किया तुमने, इट्स बिकम ओनली 10 मेगापिक्सल्स. सो देयर इज ओनली 10 मेगापिक्सल्स. सो सर 10 मेगापिक्सल इज वर्किंग. सो दैट्स द रीजन इट्स नॉट एज वेल एज शार्प. ये उतना शार्प आपको नहीं दिख रहा है. तो दिस इज द डिजिटल एंड ऑप्टिकल जूम. So one more question is there. Does megapixel affect your image quality? Megapixel affect your image quality? Camera megapixel like 30 megapixels or 20 megapixels does affect your image quality? It's affect. Okay, that's it. So one thing, just cut it.